Zambia decides 2026.
$1,574. Chancer given MEE 6,650. Mushimba Brian OPP 6,269. Silumbe Richard LM 3,304. Kunda Howard Zawapa 2,561. Njovu Akim A DU 2,496. Siamunene Richwell NFP 1,963. Pule Daniel CDP 1,348. I therefore declare Hichilema Hakainde S to be President-elect.
Zambia decides 2026. Zambia decides 2026. Zambia decides 2026.
1,574. Chancer given MEE 6,650. Mushimba Brian OPP 6,269. Silumbe Richard LM 3,304. Kunda Howard Zawapa 2,561. Njovu Akim A DU 2,496. Siamunene Richwell NFP 1,963. Pule Daniel CDP 1,348. I therefore declare Hichilema Hakainde S to be President-elect. $1,574. Chancer given MEE 6,650. Mushimba Brian OPP 6,269. Silumbe Richard LM 3,304. Kunda Howard Zawapa 2,561. Njovu Akim A DU 2,496. Siamunene Richwell NFP 1,963. Pule Daniel CDP 1,348. I therefore declare Hichilema Hakainde S. to be President-elect $1,000.
I'm Mrs. Mutotwe Kafwaya. I last saw my husband on Friday as he left home early morning. I spoke to him, I think, midday. I can't really remember the conversation. That was the last time I saw him. Around 17 hours, I started calling his phone. The phone went unanswered. Up to now, the phone is still going unanswered, but it rings. So yesterday, the state made a statement to say there was a raiding at Mr. Munduwile's residence, and the friends were apprehended, and they are in state custody. And my husband's name is not there, but Mr. Brian Munduwile has confirmed that my husband was amongst the friends, and he witnessed him being shot twice. This is very disturbing to me and the children. I think that the time he stopped answering his phone, I think that's the time he was shot. From Friday around 17, 18 hours, I haven't heard from my husband up to now. So now, as the state confirmed that they apprehended his friends and he's not amongst the list, me as a wife, I'm appealing to the state to look into our plight, because we are in a dilemma. We don't know where he is. We reported the case to the police, and they are saying they haven't found him. But since the government yesterday night confirmed that the friends were apprehended and their families are now free to go and visit the friends, and my husband's name is not there, so I don't know where to go. That's why I'm appealing to the state to come in, because the children are affected. I am affected. Family members are affected. The friends are affected. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to start from. We don't know where to hold we don't know whether to hold a funeral or not, because we can't hold a funeral without accessing him. We need to access him. It's just abnormal to stay from Friday night up to now. We don't know where our family member is. I don't know where my husband is. The children, they don't know where the father is. The youngest keeps on asking me, where is Dad? What time is he coming? When you check his phone, he calls his father more than 10 times in a day. And when he hears me crying, he'll tell me, Mom, it's okay, Dad will come. Let me go and pray in my room. Imagine how that feels. I've got children who are in school. He is also in school. All of them, they're in school. They are missing out right now. How are the children going to concentrate? They are supposed to write exams. They are supposed to pass. They are supposed to progress. Their father is not here. We keep on waiting. So me, as an ordinary person, I want assistance. I want to know where my husband is, whether dead or alive, because I won't keep on like this. People are coming, people are calling. We can't hold a funeral without accessing him. Please, as a government, I'm appealing to you. As a state, I'm appealing to you. As a wife, you are affecting my health. You are affecting my health. I'll also die at the end because this is not easy. This is not normal. Please help us as a government. Help us, because you already confirmed that you are, there was a raiding by military personnel at Mr. Munduwire's house. And Mr. Munduwire confirmed my husband being amongst those people. So please, I don't know how safe my husband is. It's very cold. The state is responsible over my husband because you confirmed that you raided that house. And my husband was shot at in that very house.
My name is Muwanga Kafwaya, son to Honorable Mutope Kafwaya. To the people of the Republic of Zambia, I haven't spoken to my dad in the past 2 to 3 days. The last time I spoke to my dad was on Wednesday the 12th of August, which was my birthday. We as a family have been wondering where he is, and we have been in suspense because we don't know how he is doing or if he is okay. Mr. President, you have 2 sons. Imagine yourself in my position. How would your sons feel if they do not know where you are and how you are doing, and have no way of reaching you? Mr. President, I am appealing. Please, help me find my dad.
Yeah, my nephew has failed to read this. Therefore, I have to pick it up as the eldest, or the elder brother to Mutope Kafwaya. My names are Mukupa Busuma. I'm the person who raised this.
Good morning, Zambia, and welcome to today's broadcast, the aftermath after elections, the aftermath after President Hakainde Hichilema was declared winner.
Following widespread social
it's been a marathon for all of us. You are stressed, we are all stressed. It's been a difficult period. The elections are over. What next? This is what we are discussing. What next after the elections are over?
The Kafwaya family wishes to confirm that.
So kindly
Mr.
share the
Kafwaya
broadcast just to reach out to one another, that we can begin
Friday,
updating one another.
14 August,
There's so many things that are hanging. The safety of our leaders,
As for
the
today,
safety of those that are
16
jailed,
August,
the safety of those that can be accessed.
2026.
Everyone is in a state of some kind. So kindly share the broadcast, so that we have all the families here. Family share the broadcast so that we come and discuss the details. Is what the papers say today. And I'll be joined by the usual team, Augustine Mukoka,
and despite
international
the
journalist,
public
sports reporter, and we have Dr. Chanda Kazia also joining us later in the broadcast. Quickly share the broadcast.
Providing clarity.
Thank you very much. I didn't realize I was speaking over the but good morning to you all. Kindly share the broadcast. We are discussing the aftermath after the elections. Last night, President Hakainde Hichilema was declared winner of this poll. We've been running with this poll consistently, from their campaigns to the voting to the result management, and now that this poll was declared over last night, what happens? We are discussing the aftermath. I'll be joined by my colleagues, Augustine Mkokaos, international journalist and a very prominent sports reporter, and Chandakazi, a former permanent secretary at the Ministry of Labour, is based in Canada. They'll join with me. We discuss the aftermath of this election. Kindly share the broadcast. So we come back after this short break. Share. We delve into the details of this election.
574. Chance are given MEE 6,650. Mushimba Brian OPP 6,269. Silumbe Richard LM 3,304. Kunda Howard Zawapa 2,561. Njovu Akim A DU 2,496. Siamunene Richwell NFP 1,963. Pule Daniel CDP 1,348. I therefore declare Hichilema Hakainde S to be president-elect.
Winning an election should grant you formal authority to take over state and government. That's the purpose of competing in the national elections, that if you win, you then step in to form your government and implement both your manifesto and your policies. But that's not enough. It's not enough to win an election. Obtaining power after you've won an election is another entirely different set of political, institutional, and cultural realities. As we have seen in this election, it's not enough to win an election. To obtain that power depends entirely on a different set of political, institutional, and cultural realities. President Hakainde Hichilema has been planning for this day. That is why you saw, as soon as he came into office, he grouped together all key institutions and aligned its reporting structure to the president. All law enforcement agencies, key institutions were all reporting to him. He immediately affected their autonomy, their independence, and their report structure to the various boards that sets them apart. In fact, there are even things he did, like appointing the ZESCO managing director state by the president, something never done. There's a board. The board there's a minister where that ministry. There's IDC. So the president sat as IDC and appointed IDC chair and appointed the ZESCO managing director. He focused on parliament, put Nelly Muti there, focused on ECZ, brought in Mwangala Zalumis for the first time. We had a non-judicial officer occupy that office. It's always been occupied. The last time it was occupied by a High Court judge was when there was Judge Bob Bwalia, the judge that spent time in Botswana and came back to Zambia, and he became ECZ chairperson. The rest have been High Court judges, Supreme Court judges. This is the first time we're having a non-judicial officer occupy that sensitive office. For the judiciary, brought in Mumba Malila, who many celebrated at the beginning and immediately expressed shock at the turn of events, because the judiciary became a compliant tool of the president. And the many contentious cases that went there just went one way. And when the president blurred the process of appointing judges and packed, especially superior courts, with cadres, it raised alarm, but the president didn't budge, in fact proceeded to pack it further. And within a period of 3 years, he had appointed over 100 judges, something that would take our previous presidents many, many years to do. They would usually just appoint about 10 new judges, 20. The president, one single appointment had 27 judges, another set 20. Another, you remember the last swearing in, that had 41 judges. And in October 2024, he caused a fear in the judiciary when he fired Anis Tali, Constitutional Court judges Anis Tali, Mungeni Mulenga, and Palad Mulonda. And what was their crime? That they ruled against him in 2015. And they got, a cadre from Matero called Kalonde, a young cadre who knows nothing as a petitioner. And the 3 constitutional judges were removed. That created a fear that no one had, security of tenure. No one could be spared if the president wished to crack the whip. It didn't take long. International institutions, within 3 years, a man they had celebrated, a man that was being held as a leader in Africa, a man that they said there was a newborn type of leadership in Africa, a man that was elected by young people that had deposited hopes in him, who defeated an incumbent. All of a sudden, within 3 years, had become a villain, who was abusing human rights. He began to be cited in international documents as an abuser of human rights, that he had set autocratic Zambia, democratic into an autocratic state, that he had blurred the lines of independence between parliament, the executive, and judiciary, and democratic institutions such as ECZ, and that state institutions such as the police were used and weaponized to fight political opponents, and the politicians didn't enjoy their civic and political rights for 5 years. And that brings me to the opposition before we go any further in discussing a day after elections. I have a word for the opposition. I think that the opposition leaders require that I have a word with them. I noticed that a brother of mine has joined in the studio. Let me see. Augustine, good morning.
Good morning, Ambassador. How are you doing on your end?
Augustine, hope you took some rest.
Well, we tried to get some rest as much as we can under the circumstances.
Thank you. I'm just giving some form of editorial just for the next 5 minutes. We go to the newspapers and I invite you in.
Sure, please. I'm listening in, and I think we are already set on a good footing.
Thank you, Augustine.
Thanks.
So, my dear brother, international sports writer Augustine Mukoka has joined me. Kindly share the broadcast. I said that the message for the opposition leaders. What has happened, especially with the attack on Brian Munduwile's rally in Mongu? They rounded up to 32 of the young men that were, providing security. They picked out musicians, locked them up, and detained some of our key officials in Mongu. And they discharged tear gas in the crowd. There was broad consultation, but there was a deafening silence from fellow opposition leaders to Brian Munduwile. KBF, Harry Kalaba, Fred Membe, and the others remained extremely quiet. Their silence was so loud. And then the traumatic events that have happened the last few days, they're silent. I know the opposition have had their own fights. I know that sometimes have even issued disparaging remarks against one another. But they are members of the opposition. They are on one side fighting the people. And there's no greatest opportunity to show leadership when one is in distress, whatever the difference. I wish to publicly express my concern here that most of the key opposition leaders they took joy in seeing Munduvile humiliated and fought in the manner that is being fought. Where we've probably lost Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya and you are quiet. Where there have been shootings and we've lost lives and you are quiet. Even if you have beef with Brian Munduvile, it's totally unacceptable and it's not leadership. And, I regularly catch up on many of my brothers. I was trying to call them, but I managed to go through Honorable Harry Kalava. And when he answered, I just went exactly what I've just told you here. And he says, but Wamwamba, in fact, you are supposed to say sorry because I have been unwell. I've been in hospital and I have been unwell. So I said, okay, well, President, Namielela, but we'll talk. But I need to express this anger that the church, at least the Catholic Church, rose and made condemnations to those things. You cannot have the beloved soldiers storming, tottling centers, and you as a leader, you are quiet. You cannot have election results being stolen, and you as a leader, you are quiet. Look at Avenibesu. Even SADC, which is extremely conservative, look at their Observer Mission report. They've condemned all these things. Look at the European Union. Look at the African Union. Then why are you quiet? I don't know why we like to look for solutions elsewhere when we have our own leaders that should provide. So I had some words for you, members of the opposition. Nangu Brian Ali Lufienye, even if he became arrogant, even if he became like Nafika, if he feared Chitika the last few days, the attacks against our democracy, the attacks against the electoral process, the attacks against life require that you raise your condemnation. And the public reprimand, I hope they will understand, doesn't reduce anywhere in the relationship that I have with all of them. I've been privileged that every leader of the opposition has been on this platform. In any race, we're supposed to have a winner and losers. And today, we should have been expressing congratulations to President Hakainde Hichilema. I've spoken for 7 minutes, and you haven't heard that word. Why? It's very clear. An election is supposed to reflect the will of the people. This election doesn't, and we need to put it on record. The events that we've tabulated, a Zambia Army commander deploying soldiers in tottling centers, not to guard our people, not to secure them, but to interfere with the electoral process, allow people to change result, chase monitors and party agents and observers, and overturn the results. There's nothing more painful, And some results are ridiculous from Mongo. Abavotere bali 39,000 mwalanda 50 kusolwezi mwabule amavotes kwa mundu bileo mwapera ba president ayengi. The president won, but you take away a large chunk of Mundubile's vote and you give it to the president. Look at Mandevu and Munali, similar situation. Just 2 months ago, before this election, the president had an unassailable lead. There was no opposition in sight. And this was despite widespread disapproval from our people who were complaining of the cost of living crisis, the divisions that had beset our country, the regionalism, the tribalism, the dictatorship, the tyranny that had emerged, the repression, the numerous arrests against political opponents and opposition members, the shrinking democratic media and civic space, the crushing of the largest opposition party at the time, the Patriotic Front. He had disapproval. And Zambians began to call for unity. They said, such a strong man, incumbent, and he's taken over and centralized power, required that the opposition was united. Personally, I took this as my initial, literally, commitment to bringing the opposition to a united front. And President Edgar Lungu at the time was very instrumental. I remember the first press conference we had, you remember I officiated it, where we had 11 political parties, major leaders, including Fred Membe and Winter Kavimba. The second one, and the third one that then was transformed to the United Kwacha Alliance, UKA. There was an attack, like there was an attack on the PF on UKA, and UKA disintegrated. There was a movement that went to Tonse Alliance. There were other initiatives. Zambia We Want and the People's Pact. On this program, for 1 year, I kept on bringing all the leaders and making them commit. Can you lead? Can you be led? And all of them answered in the affirmative, and it gave us hope. But as we were nearing to elections by February, March, it became very clear that united opposition was more a mirage, more a myth. And the Council of Elders, Aka Shambatwambiku Stalewanika and others, stepped in to try to bring unity both in the PF and in the opposition. And we all had given up. Even Brian Mundubile gave up. He stepped out of the Patriotic Front, stepped out of the opposition unity and formed Tonse Alliance and began to run with it. 2 months later, Makebi Zulu, after rearranging, after Honorable Given Lubinda rearranged Tonse Alliance to Pamosi Alliance, there was an election that Makebi won. And at the eve before we went to elections, May 13th, 2026, just 4 days away from filing of nominations, Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu came together. That became the golden ticket, and the people of Zambia accepted it immediately. And within 60 days, it became a tour de force, very, very forceful. They had no money. You remember the first rally in Kitwe, where they were holding up to 5 microphones. They had no proper music system. They had no stage. They had no nothing. But the masses followed them, and there was an improvement at every rally. You saw the microphone began to drop to 1. You saw music system begin to get established. And by the end of the campaign, some form of campaign, and they had titled themselves as Team No Regalia, because they had even no regalia. They had become such a force, and the race became a 2-horse race. Despite suffering, no regalia, no money for regalia, despite running on a shoestring budget, despite having no proper stage, no proper sound system, despite being denied airspace and venue, and constantly harassed at everywhere they went, being shot at, being beaten, being forced to travel the terrain of our country. I worked in the rural areas, and Zambia is a very hard place to be. The extent of investment we need to make. I remember when we were doing Link Zambia with President Sata, and our tarred roads are so few. We need to tar between 40 to 60,000 of roads. And to make another set motorable, just motorable, they were forced to endure those hard roads. From Petauke Lundazi, from Muchinga, Nakonde Mbala, up to Northwestern Province, up to Mwinilunga, but they were at the stage where they literally won the election. On the other side, the president had a total infrastructure, various helicopters, even had helicopters to give to Yomaps and others. and the vice president had their own set, and they relied on public resources to conduct this campaign. And the EU Observer Mission has cited this as a grave matter that tilted the campaign against the opposition. The president had over 160 rallies. Brian Mundwile had under 60 rallies. And you know, the president has the other institutions, Tony Blair, the image builders from London, the millions that we saw, the millions and bags of money and regalia, yet the outcome tells a different story. That underdog won that election. And we saw the last 3 days a systematic process to steal the election. So what do we do? What happens? An election has been stolen. A president has been declared. What do we do? That is a matter that will preoccupy our debate with me and my team today. Thank you, and share the broadcast as now we delve of what needs to be done and the various things. Others are calling of government of national unity. Others are calling that we should cancel this election and start afresh. Others are saying the opposition should go to court. President Hakainde Hichilema on his side has criminalized the opposition, arrested and, shot at, nearly killed, and the safety of our leaders is in peril, and locked up to 60 of our key members just in the last few days. But so what happens? So let's delve into the issues. And before I bring in Augustine, let me just have a preview of our newspapers. The Daily Nation is leading with "Is HH again?" And Mundwile is saying, "We are not militias." They are quoting his interview with us. The News Diggers is saying Mundwile and Makebi have fled. They are seeking refuge at the UN agency in Lusaka. The Mast is calling on all of us to put the polls behind, and that the chapter of elections is over. I'll get the other newspapers to review.
Yes, we are dealing with disinformation. So where there's disinformation, we put the truth there. We have seen that the Napupu running mate, Makebi Zulu, has posted that Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya was shot by the army, 2 bullets in the chest, and is now admitted at Mainasoko. We are here at Mainasoko. I am joined by my colleagues, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Machembo is at the far end there. We are also joined by the owner of the facility, the PS for Defense, Mr. Amaundu is here. So Mr. Amaundu, please explain to the people, explain to the Zambians. Is Honorable Kafwaya here? And was Honorable Kafwaya shot by your army?
It's a laughing matter. I think we need to be serious as a people. We need really to move away from fabricating information. I actually came through to Mainasoko upon reading on social media that Honorable Kafwaya was shot and is actually at Mainasoko. And I can confirm to members of the public that that is unfounded. We are at Mainasoko. I've checked the record. I've engaged the management here. At no time in the last 48 hours have they received any patient by the name of Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. So it's a total fabrication, and which is really, really unacceptable. And that is why I can confirm really to say there is no patient by the name of Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya in this facility, unless there's a different Mainasoko, but not at this particular facility.
So maybe just to appeal to colleagues in Napupu that maybe it's time they stopped this, because clearly it looks like it's a game to them, but maybe it's time
Zambia decides 2026.
I'm the chief Shushushu. I know what is happening. My friend, you can't send people to a foreign country to go and learn military skills to come and disrupt elections in this country. And they expect not to be arrested for that. You will be arrested. You commit crimes, you're on your own. Why would you send people to go and train somewhere to come and plan to kill? An opposition leader says he's prepared to kill. To be killed. Nobody wants to kill him. Now he's prepared to kill. Since there's nobody who wants to kill him, so he's willing to kill. Who is he going to kill? Fellow citizens. For what? It's competition to serve. My colleagues were in government 10 years. They did not introduce free education. Now they're saying they'll bring it. Why didn't they bring it when they were in government 10 years? They are promising, no, CDF. Why didn't they bring CDF from 1.6 million, which is only enough to build a 1x3 classroom block, to 40 million? Why didn't they do it? Why? If you as a citizen are supporting them, I'm just pointing you here because we're in an interview. You must reflect. What benefit did you get 10 years? A few people were sleeping with cash as mattresses and pillows. A few people. Where was that money coming from? From the loans, the Euro bonds, which they failed to pay. And the price was $2.3 billion of debt service. And that's the money they were accessing through fake contracts, supplying air, roads that they never did. They got 50% down payment and never did the roads. And that's the money they were using as mattresses.
Augustine, let's start the day. Let me have your reflections and from what the papers say. And I've played that video by the president deliberately to demonstrate where these so-called charges and militia are coming from. It gives you a window. What the 4 young people that were sent for VVIP protection and what Bino Mpundu said, and I'm told even what Katele said, is what is constituting this so-called militia setting. But begin to review from what you have prepared.
Ambassador, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, to discuss matters of national interest with respect to our country, Zambia. We are coming off an election. This is, I think, the 8th, if not 10th presidential election we've had since 1991, when multi-party democracy was reintroduced in Zambia. I was a little young at the time multipartyism was, being reintroduced in Zambia. But I'll tell you, Ambassador, having grown up in Lusaka, I did as a young boy participate in the activism that led to that reintroduction. Whenever, the vibrant University of Zambia students took to the streets to demonstrate, we joined them from the townships. We backed them. And ultimately, it led to an election that gave birth to the presidency of Dr. Frederick Chiluba. We saw that election. We later on, saw the 1996 election, which was boycotted by UNIP and Dr. Kaunda. I saw the 2001 election. And I think at that time, I was able to vote in 2001, and I voted in that election. I remember participating in that election that brought the presidency of Levi Patrick Mwanawas. Since then, in as much as, many people know me for sports, I have participated remotely in the governance of our country. I have seen, the birth of different political parties. When I worked for the Post newspaper from 2003 to 2011, at some point I belonged to what was known as Press Freedom Committee of the Post, which was like a civil society or an extension of the newspaper. And we conducted town hall meetings. I remember conducting a town hall meeting in Choma, where Cornelius Mwita, at the time, before he became an MP, was a discussant, and he told me he was going to contest the parliamentary seat then. I remember conducting, a town hall meeting in Chawama, at which the late President Edgar Lungu was a discussant at that meeting or gathering. So I have seen the elections of Zambia from 1991, 1996, 2001, then from 2001 to 2006. I saw that in 2008 when President Mwanawasa passed on, and the baton was passed on to President Rupia Banda, and it then came to 2011 when President Rupia Banda lost the election. President Michael Sata took over. From that time, I was not in Zambia, so I didn't participate actively in the 2016 elections. Remotely, yes, perhaps. I was back home in 2021 to witness the election that brought President Hakainde Hichilema in office. So when I speak about these issues, I come from a background of full participation in the process. I give that background to come to this election. In the 30 years plus of Zambia's multi-party democracy, there has never been a chaotic election such as this one. We've never held a bogus election process such as this one. Yes, we've never been a perfect democracy. We've been a growing democracy as a country. And not all the elections have been perfect. They've never been. There have been irregularities in all the elections. Those irregularities have left some of the opposition leaders dissatisfied at a given time. However, we've never witnessed what we witnessed in this election. Even if opposition leaders previously cried foul, went to court that the election has been stolen, elections have been rigged, we've never seen rigging in the last 30 plus years with our naked eyes. We've heard of rigging. There's been accusation of rigging. This is the first time we saw it with our naked eyes. We saw the use of excessive force to win an election. There's never been a period in any of our elections we've held that a sitting president has authorized an elite unit of the Zambia army to invade a private residence of his main competitor. There is never that election in our history, which has produced 7 presidents. We've never seen in any of the previous election numbers being adjusted. There's never been any evidence, vivid evidence. You're seeing that the number at a polling station was 5, and the number at the National Totaling Center is 500. That has never occurred. We've never seen it. This is the first time we've seen an election being rigged. Parliamentary seats not being won, but parliamentary seats being given like cookies, biscuits, to people who didn't win, to people who conceded defeat. This is the first time we are seeing that. And to call such an election credible is a fallacy, in my view. Is a fallacy even in the view of any right-thinking member of our society. Ambassador, we've never had a bogus electoral process such as this one. Yes, President Hakainde Hichilema promised that he was going to play Mingalato from the word go. We saw this, the build-up of this Mingalato, but we didn't anticipate or envisage that this Mingalato will be deployed at the point when people were casting their votes. And after the people had cast their vote, we didn't see that is a kind of Mingalato he referenced. We saw the decimation of the opposition, the Patriotic Front. We saw the schemes to block his predecessor, Edgar Lungu, from ever having an aspiration to contest an election. We witnessed a hasty change of the Constitution through the infamous Bill 7. We also witnessed, the enactment of bills at the 11th hour in the legislature. We further saw the appointment of partisan judges, judicial officers to the Supreme Court, to the Constitutional Court, to the High Court. We saw all that. And what we didn't expect to see was that the head of state was going to now deploy the army to win a second term or to impose himself on the people for a second term. President Hakainde Hichilema did not win this election. Deep down his heart, he knows that he didn't win this election. He has engineered himself and imposed himself on the people. Yes, it is understandable that he has supporters in the country. That is not in dispute. There are people who love him to the hilt. You cannot hold it against them. There are people who think he's, the best option. But those people were not in the majority. And the numbers at the polling station, when our people went there to make a choice, did show so. My appeal is to all the observers, those that took part in the election, to demonstrate to all of us that there's a role they played. They should independently give us their numbers now that the Electoral Commission has imposed President Hakainde Hichilema on us. Unlike him, who did not respect his predecessor, who did not accept that his predecessor was president, he never addressed him as head of state. He called him Mr. Lungu. Now that he's been imposed on us, we will not emulate his action. We will watch him. What this election has taught me and given me is the resolve to continue fighting for Mother Zambia, is the resolve to ensure that our country thrives in its democracy. And we are on the brink of totally obliterating our democracy, one that was heavily fought for It is impossible at this point.
In fact, Augustine, for me, that's been my worry. You know, the involvement of the army in the electoral process brings extreme high risk. You're on the borderline, you know, of destabilizing your own country. First, it makes the public lose trust, that it doesn't matter what they say. You know, the men in boots can just walk in and change the results. We are not Pakistan. We are not these other countries, you know. And when the military begins to have an appetite that they can actually impose control, even create a president, we are on dangerous ground. And we'll be saying bye to free rule. Every time you've involved the army, like we've seen in countries like Pakistan, is that they determine if a democratic election takes place, this guy wins, they don't like, they step in, remove him, and they put who they want. We saw it in Egypt. We've seen it everywhere. The path that the president took in this process is a danger to our national security and peace. There's been a clear divide between the military and the civilian authority. And, you know, our military and defense and security forces have always respected that line. This Ziele now wear pride on his chip that he has imposed a president on our country, that he has made a president, and that's dangerous. You've seen the challenges in Zimbabwe with the vice president and the president. There's been constant pressure from the day one when they formed government. Why? Because the army commander made the president, and the president has to skirt on issues. Even when he removed him, brought him into civilian office and isolated him from the military, there's constant friction between the two. You do not want that. And that, for me, raised a red flag.
That's correct, Ambassador. It's a serious red flag because the extent to which the army took over the operation of the Electoral Commission of Zambia is very, very concerning, because this was not a civilian election. It was an army-driven election. You know, I was talking to someone about an incident where police recruits in Lilai were basically, you know, bussed to one polling station in Chilanga, where they voted en masse without even their thumbs being painted. You know, and the area was somewhat concealed. The stories that are coming out of this election, Ambassador, are very, very worrying. We never expected, having attempted 6-7 times the presidents, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to go on this path. But perhaps it's a lesson that God has shown us. It's a lesson, a bitter lesson that we have to endure. Because I just can't believe, you know, that the army would raid a home of an opposition leader. In that incident, we fear there is a fatality or some fatalities. That government or its government officials make fun of that incident. Not only did they make fun, they then went on a propaganda spree without any ounce of shame. They started accusing those who were crying out and alerting the nation that, look, we have a fatality here. We have a problem of disinformation. You know, the two videos you played of first of Thabo Kawana and Hamaundu, they leave a very chilling, effect on someone, especially knowing that now the government has confirmed, yes, there was a military operation. And that military operation occurred on such a day. And its own officials were covering it up. Were even laughing. They were even describing it as a joke. They were saying these were fabrications. I want to see Thabo Kawana go back to the media and announce that it was a fabrication. There was no military invasion. It's unbelievable, unbelievable that this is a country now that we have for ourselves. I am not too sure if President Hichilema will enjoy this term, because let's face it, his hands are stained with blood. They are stained with blood. It's a bloody presidency. He said and accused an opposition leader, and I think he must have been referring to Binwoo Mpundu, that he was ready to kill or he was ready to die. The head of state said, where in this country can you get somebody say he's ready to die, he's ready to kill? President Hichilema was ready to die, he was ready to kill. And today, the feared death of Honorable Muthote Kafaya is on his hands. If that operation, if indeed they had intelligence information that that fictitious story of a militia existed, they would have carried out a lawful process. A lawful process. These were men of fixed abode who didn't know where Honorable Muthote Kafaya stays, who didn't know where Honorable Brian Munduvile stays, who doesn't know where Makebi Zulu stays. Why didn't they send the police over that period? Why didn't they institute an immediate investigation, summon them, investigate those claims, establish the veracity of those claims? Why did President Hichilema had to wait and issue an order during an election period for the army to force itself, criminally so, in a private residence and begin shooting without establishing the facts? There was no gunfire at that residence. There was no gunfire at that residence. There was no militia at that residence. Who, in their honest sense, can keep a militia in a house where there are 12-year-olds? What kind of a father would have a militia in a home where there are 12-year-olds, where there are teenagers? Zambia has never been at war. There is no case of child soldiers in Zambia. We've never had such an instance. How irresponsible can a father have his girl children in the house where there are militias? That's a bogus story. It doesn't exist. The fact here is that President Hichilema was ready to kill to be imposed as president for a second term. That is the fact. Nothing else. Ambassador, you and me have been to Kudu Road. How dumb, if you're running a militia, can you be to put it in Kudu Road? Who wouldn't know that there are certain suspicious activities around Kudu Road that require immediate police attention? Who wouldn't know that? Secondly, if you are going to say people ran away and you sent a joint team of your security staff to quell what you call a militia, and people ran away. Then did you do your initial assessment of the area that you suggested was under militia control? You didn't. Kudu Road is a very small road. How can people run away from you? If you are indeed an elite, team of security officers, you can't buy that story. The fact is that, whatever it is, the president was ready to kill. He was ready to shed blood for him to become president for a second term. That is the bottom line. When he felt threatened, he released the army. He literally, ran down his opponent. He left him vulnerable. He went to pluck out his security team so that he can leave him vulnerable for anything during an election that his own supporters were causing violence. It was his own supporters that walked into polling stations. We saw Bruce Kanema, thank God he lost, walk into a polling station, disrupt it. We saw UPND cadres grab tear gas or be given tear gas during a counting process, throw it into a polling station, poor agents scamper, they go and get the materials. What does that give us today? The entire Kabwe, or is it the entire central, or the central province, all the seats that were going to the opposition have gone to the ruling party. It was well choreographed. It was designed that way. Use cadres to disrupt counting. Use soldiers to go for your opposition leader. If it meant killing, you kill. Intimidate. And then go ahead and ensure that those who are accredited at National Totaling Center do not ask questions. When they ask questions, chuck them out of the auditorium. That is how Roosevelt Tonga was chucked out. That is how Celestine Mkandila was chucked out. Oh. By the way, I did a little bit of finding out. Roosevelt Tonga is detained at Kawata Police Station. It was well planned. This is how the president planned it. It was at any cost, by any means necessary, he was going to impose himself on a second term. And this is what he's done. Now, being a Democrat that I am, I don't think my conscience will be clear to congratulate him for being re-elected. I don't think he was democratically elected or he was democratically re-elected. He has imposed himself on the will of the majority Zambians. He didn't win this election.
This takes me now to our second stage, what must be done. I was looking for Chanda Kazira to help us, but he's probably busy and he hasn't joined us.
Before you finish, Ambassador, before you go to the next stage, maybe let me quickly run through the headlines because we didn't touch on that one. You did show, we are seeing the Daily Nation saying it's HH again. Yes, we've discussed that. It is HH again for second term, but obviously there are steps that will be unfolding even if it's HH again. So it's a stolen election. It remains one. It leaves us more divided than we were. It sends a very wrong picture out there, and it's not the best that we should be clapping for in terms of democracy. The news diggers are running with Makebi and Mundubile being in UN housing. We are yet to verify the veracity of that that report. But if they were, they are within their rights to secure their safety, because the president was on record before he was pronounced or imposed on us for a second term. He was on record that he is going to arrest them. And he may want to quickly arrest them so that he can cripple any form of action that he thinks they may be working on. So if they are securing themselves, I mean, I'll congratulate them, and I'll wish them well, and I will encourage them to do so, because they need to do it for the sake of Zambians who believed and trusted they were the better option from what is obtaining. Within that confine, they should be able to re-strategize, reorganize, and reach out to the international community so that they are protected. They may be unfairly treated because already people were arbitrarily arrested. It took 48 hours, which should have been at the time of charging or at the time of releasing those people. For us to know that people are in police confinement without any charge, without any formal arrest, after 48 hours. Those people have been there now for more than 72 hours. So if he does the same to Honorable Makebi and Honorable Mundubile, it will cripple the opposition. And that would be his plan, because we've already seen that he's an authoritarian. I'm short of saying he's a dictator, which is really what he is. And I can only, wish them the very best. We keep them in our prayer for the Lord to protect them, for the Lord to speak to them that this is only a temporal setback. May they be strengthened wherever they are right now. We need to rally behind those two gentlemen. Ambassador, it was unprecedented that these two people from their past political affiliation came together, formed a partnership that won an election within 3 months. In less than 3 months, they formed a partnership that won an election, because for 5 years after the opposition was desecrated, there were claims that there was no opposition, but they demonstrated that when you come together, when you unite, you can galvanize the people and then lead them. And I think they're a good combination. May they be protected. Yes, the master is saying the polls are behind. For sure, the polls are behind us. But the scars generated out of those polls are still fresh. They are not behind us. The scars will live with us for the longest time to come. Our democracy has been injured. So we have the polls behind us. But the issues around the polls will forever haunt us around this election. And I think we must be honest. We must be sincere with ourselves. In order for us to put this behind, we should review, we should have an honest, sincere postmortem so that such incidents, such a situation does not recur. We are already hearing sentiments. I'm sure as time goes on, we'll be discussing what we're already hearing. And I hope those who are supporting this regime will not rule this day that they supported and elected President Hakainde Hichilema. So we'll continue to discuss on that one. And again, to your point, Ambassador, I have been also wondering. It's sad that Honorable President Harry Kalava is unwell. We wish him a quick recovery. Dr. Fred Membe was my boss at the Post, and I think we expected a little more from him. We haven't seen him during this process. He should have shown up to the opposition. Yes, he did make, very unfortunate remarks against them, but at this point, Dr. Fred Membe has always said, if they come for you today and I don't speak out, they will come for me tomorrow and there will be no one to speak for me. I think Dr. Fred should have been among the first leaders. Is he happy with what he has seen? Is this the kind of democracy that, he participated in? Does this, speak to his values? Where is he? Is his silence complicit? And those are some of the issues, you want to get from the opposition. There are, of course, a few opposition that were just sponsored by the sitting president, and they are there on the ballot. And you could clearly see that these were, the numbers that he wanted just to show this is a democracy. But I expected Dr. Fred to show up. I haven't seen Kelvin Fubebwadia, KBF, in this process. Where is he? What is he saying? I think those are the, and I think Honorable Given Katuta too, yes, Brian Mushimba too. Where are they? What are they saying about this process? I know people are scared in Zambia. It is risky, and people are in their cocoons. But you participated in an electoral process. Tell us whether this was your expectation. Tell us whether you are happy with the outcome. Tell us whether you're going to congratulate the supposed eventual winner of that election. And I think they should come out and show up.
Indeed, Augustine, and that's what takes us to what must be done. And the lines are open. On this program yesterday, I gave 5 options. First, there's a diplomatic route that you follow. You engage people that could speak to the president. But I said that could probably be done before the elections were declared. Now that it's been declared, he's now working like he's president-elect and he's begun to discharge his duties. There's stakeholder engagement. Right in our country, what should be done? Our stakeholders must begin to say, how do we heal the people? How do we heal the land? How do we stop these divisions that have ruptured our country? What can Mundubile give up? What can President Hakainde Hichilema give up? That is now stakeholder that can initiate some form of talks, maybe between them. We've seen the hardline stance by the president. He claims they are criminals. They formed a mafia group, of course, from intelligence from a rogue officer that we know we've mentioned here. That's not credible at all. Then there's a legal process. Mundubile and Makebi have a right to take this matter, and the court should hear this matter. Is it 21 days now? It used to be 14 days. I don't know if it's been taken to 21 days. If it's still 14 days, tell me in the comments. There's also mass action. You voted, you protected your vote, and that vote has been stolen. You saw soldiers storming, you saw cadres desecrate your ballot papers that you had made a constitutional issue that you make in 5 years. We are not saying break anything. You have a right to protest peacefully in a peaceful manner. And then, of course, prayers. So for me, I'm proposing those 5 solutions done in combination, but no one way can succeed. You just can't sit in prayers and think it will succeed. Again, you just can't go to the courts and think that process will succeed alone. And you just can't speak to fellow diplomats and think that process will succeed alone. You just can't leave it to stakeholders. What if President Hakainde Hichilema doesn't yield? The largest and biggest stakeholder in our country is the church, the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops. And we've seen that he can disregard them, he can insult them, and he can put them away. So it has to be, in my view, a combination of all these. Those that can pray on their knees, let them pray and continue to pray for our country. Those that can seek protest, maybe civil society, the church and others, to protest against the irregularities, what we've seen. For Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, they should take this matter to court, and the evidence they've gathered, take them up. These key stakeholders, Council of Elders, the church and others, can begin to engage both parties. Mundubile, what can you give up in this process? President Hakainde Hichilema, there's a country at stake. You just can't be legalistic. You use state institutions and you're perceived to have stolen an election. Maybe someone can bring the two parties together. The diplomatic route also. I don't know if you have any other view of what can be done. And ladies and gentlemen, the lines are open. We are not staying long. It's been stressful for you and us, and all of us have to end this broadcast very, very quickly so that we can take some rest. And when we come in the evenings, we can be recharged.
Ambassador, I think you have outlined a good and legible way forward. Of course, one of them is a constitutional process within the right of Makebi Zulu and Honorable Brian Mundubile. There could be fears that, look, the Constitutional Court is appointed by President Hakainde Hichilema, and therefore it's time wasting to even seek, its attention and bring it, to consideration. But I'm of the view that that is one of the way forward that should be critically considered. Why do I say so? This election fraud, this fraudulent election process must be placed on record. There has to be a record that the election was fraudulent. And the only way we can place this election on that record is through the Constitutional Court. Now, if those who are serving as constitutional judges have a conscience, they'll make the right decision. Here is why. They may have been appointed by President Hakainde Hichilema, but President Hakainde Hichilema did not oversee their ascendance to that portfolio or position. They went to school on their own to study law and become officers of the judiciary. It was not President Hakainde Hichilema who made them officers of the judiciary. It was their own volition to save the country. However, when an opportunity came to fill those positions, the Constitution deposited powers in President Hakainde Hichilema to make the choices. He may have...
Thank you, Augustine. Let's take some calls. Okay. There's so many calls coming up already. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Oh, my name is Joseph, calling within Lusaka, particularly Matero constituency. These elections, Ambassador Mwamba, is very disheartened. Election has been stolen, where I was one of the polling agents here in Matero, where we collected our G20s, where our member of parliament won, Saul. But what surprises me, when we went at a totaling center in Matero Boys Secondary School, the guys, they changed the figures. Imagine at a polling station where I was, there was no stream which had people like 565, sorry. We went there, we produced our G20s, they refused and told us, okay, we're going to look into this issue. Even Alexander Mumba knew that he lost. He even wrote a post of saying that he has lost. We had all the G20s, but they refused and said, no, we're going to look in this issue. They changed the figures. Coming to presidential as well, There's no polling station where President Hakainde Hichilema won. No. We went there, they changed the figures. We approached the presiding officer. Me, personally, I was chased by the commandos and removed me outside like a Mino. Is this nation which we want? Stealing somebody's victory? It has really pained me. Then we should stay here and start laughing with what they have done. People, they were writing after we brought all, after we brought all the necessary things and G20s, the people, they started writing again on those new G20s in front of our eyes. We approached, I can even mention, I approached Munkombwe, I approached Mwamba. We asked them, why are they writing these G20s? They even started cutting those seals in front of our eyes. In this country which we want, it's really disheartened. They started changing things and writing new G20s. We told the polling agents for the UPND, produce your G20s. They didn't have any. They didn't have any. The moment when we started asking them, they sent soldiers, commandos, that room, I can tell the way, more than 10 commandos inside with guns, as if we are criminals. This nation doesn't belong to the UPN themselves. It's really, this country belongs to all of us. Today, yesterday, then they say, Alexander Mumba has won. If today you come to Matero, people are crying and are saying, what have these guys done? Even the celebration which was happening, no one is celebrating, only few individuals, the UPN themselves. In this country we want, then somebody can come and say, we must heal. Where people, they were changing figures, we have videos, we have the G20s. Why? I even asked the presiding officer, you gave some G20s, who has forged the result? They couldn't tell us the truth. All our councillors, they started changing the results. And Munkombe, what you have done with colleagues, God is watching you. We are not praying a dead God, but as long as we pray a living God, I can tell you that God is seeing your criminality. We cannot have the cadres, the ECZ cadres. I was hiding in the car at Matero Boys. I hear somebody, we are changing figures as we are going there. If there's anyone who is going to start making noise, send the police and remove that person. Is that the country we want in this nation? Where somebody is being a dictator? Where somebody, he doesn't want to leave power? Me, I was even followed. I was followed, thrown away like a criminal. Please, Mr. Mwamba, go past. Talk to the international community. Talk to the stakeholders. This election, they were stolen. Imagine after we went at the totaling center, that's when now, they said they have suspended the election. At Lilanda, they stole two ballot papers. They stole the whole boxes in front of the police. Then you are telling us, Ambassador, we should keep quiet. Then you are telling us, Ambassador, that we had free and fair election. In Mo, they were mentioning some figures which are not even tallying with the registered voters in Mungu. This thing we have been seeing, they have been saying, Hakainde Hichilema, he lost even here in the matter. I was there. I can produce the evidence. When we were counting, Hakainde Hichilema was even getting 90. Where our president was getting 200, 130. Where does a stream getting 565? Where? Imagine you have written on the G20, you compare, not tally. So why were they giving us G20s? Prosperity will judge, he will judge Hakainde Hichilema, and he will judge his cadres. Those Venezuelans, the cadres.
Thank you, my brother. Let me take the other calls. Yeah, there are so many calls. Thank you, and I would like to speak to you after this poll, especially that you were a party agent. Yes, thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Ambassador. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for the program.
Thank you.
I want first and foremost, I want to commend and thank our president, President Brian Mundubile, and our Vice President Honorable Makebi Zulu. Just want to thank them that they fought this battle to the end. And we, the supporters, know exactly what happened. We won this battle. We won, and we are victors. So there's nothing that is going to discourage us, and there's nothing that will let us go back. We'll continue being as one and as a family. And we know God has something. God wants to prove himself because we prayed, we fasted, and we know the truth. And God will reveal himself. He will manifest himself strong. It might look like this, and we know what it is, but God is the one that sees, and he has a final say over this battle. So to all the BN supporters, let's just keep calm, trust the process. We know God is about to say something. God is about to reveal himself strong. And to our leaders, let them just keep the faith. They know what's on the ground. And we know as the people that voted. I was one of the agents as well, the part agent. I know what it is. I know what's on the ground.
You should get in touch with me after the program.
Sure, Ambassador, I'll do that.
Thank
so
you.
To everyone who's listening, those that are behind Brian Mundubile and Vice President Makebi Zulu, we are the victors in this. If you look around, if you go outside the street, you see a few people that are celebrating, knowing what's there. They're just a few people. I mean, what's with, if you've won genuinely, why not everyone come out? And if you look at, I was even saying to say, you know, the way they were cooking the numbers and figures, it's not mathing. The people that have been dealing with numbers, they would know. Why would they bring back the number that they gave to the late President Edgar Lungu? It was at 1.8 something, and those are the same votes that they brought back, thinking that we all don't know what's going on. But God is above everything. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, my dear sister.
Okay, thank you. I'll get in touch after the program.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Good morning, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Wake Up Zambia.
Wake Up Zambia, make your contribution.
All right. I just wanted to encourage our leaders and
is your line cut? So sorry. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Thank you very much, my brother. This is Muntu Mususu calling in from Lusaka, Zambia.
Muntu Mususu, make your contribution.
What I want to state is that what happens is that we live to fight another day. We live to fight another day. 5 years is not very far. He has gotten power by P, and there's nothing he will do with that power. People of Zambia will still prove it. And you must understand what is at play here. That, number one, this man had prepared a lot for this moment. That we can't take away from him. He had prepared a lot, everything up to this moment. He never wanted to miss this chance. That's number one. Then number two, you must understand that this man, if you look at him clearly, he is surrounded by criminal elements destined for prison. All of them, actually. Starting from Kwame Mseta's, which are people who have been abducting JJ Banda. All those people are destined for prison. Everywhere we have people who are looting ZNS. We have people who have been looting ZAPSA. We have people who have been looting NIMA. They have been looting. All those people have been on him to say, don't give up power. Once you give up power, we are going in Shumboraira. So you must have stated it, Uchogu. So you must have said it. When she was addressing the people, once we lose power, we are all going into prison. So President Hakainde Hichilema is surrounded by criminals, thugs, who would not have allowed him to give up power. That must be understood. Then, what is there as of now is that we need to, the opposition needs to arrange themselves. More especially those who are getting 1 or 0, 3, 4, 5. These things must be stated by my brother. There's need for the opposition in this country to still come together and fight another day. What they have been doing of lately is just very disappointing. There have been a lot of confusion, of fragmentations here and there. And this is part of the consequences.
Muntu Mususu, thank you very much. Thank you very much, my dear brother. Let's just take the other call. Zikomo. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from, and make your contribution.
I'm calling from Lusaka. I'll just put it MM.
Yes, my dear brother. Yes, indeed.
Imano Mamba, you know me, I'm in Lusaka, and I was at Lima constituency. We saw what happened, and we were coordinating from our friend from, and not even a single polling station which UPNA and the president led. So all those things like in material were manufactured. And me, I see where the problem is of all this confusion by Manu Mamba from election from 2016 up to 2021. We have that system when you vote, you sign that June 12, June 20, then the presiding officer will stick the paper outside so that everyone will capture, if every journalist will capture, they will know the figures of each polling station. But that thing in this election, so I don't know if they have changed that system. That's why they manipulated this election. Because at each polling station, ama fige poyali. Nama journalists wants now to capture. If you but they find it easy because they will just harass one person or 2 or 5 any other record. But if that thing was happening, polling station before totaling center, ama journalists now to capture views. So I don't know on that system what happened, Mangomba. Shed more light on that area.
Thank you very much, my brother. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
This is Gilbert from Cape Town.
My dear brother, make your contribution.
Ambassador Mamba, I've got information coming in that those MPs from Muchinga who were able to protect the vote are still in hiding because the UPND didn't manage to manipulate votes in Muchinga. And I've received information saying that even Luknet, MP for Makonde, is a constituency that was delimited that is told as is in Chisari Police. And other MPs like Stephen Kapianga, the others from Muchinga are in hiding, fearing for their lives. Because
he deployed soldiers and he wanted strong men out of the way that could maybe mobilize communities, and it's a pattern across the country, especially in our strongholds.
And my sincere appeal to Zambia Army. I've never seen commandos being so cheap like council police in the streets. Commandos are very, very elite, and they're not supposed to be in the streets like council police. It is shame to see such kind of elite men being thrown in the streets like council police. It's the first time we are seeing commandos being treated like council police.
Thank you, my brother. Any contribution?
Let those MPs be freed and go to parliament if that's what it is called for. Please.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Mwamba Mwabuka Shani.
Endita Mwabuka Shani.
Awe Mwabuka February Mwikulu. Ichanta nshiba Mwamba. Therefore ya ukutotela bena Zambia bali support bapele babelu. Ngozi mulengu mfo.
Mkwaye.
Ukufune poto wasendelo buntu ngwatakuwa abapati ya kupangwa mu 3 months ya pange fisungusho ngevi besa apali abena Zambia and 2 nga mwati mumone ba Mwamba inemvotela pa mauzo amwini Zanimone West the time twale vota kuma 18 hours because nalimu security ya kuchita protect amavoti. Around 18 hours, we saw 3 land cruiser coming Pamauzu pouring station in Mandevu constituency. After Isa, presiding officer wali pali shile muida kuli land cruiser and then aishile senda ka ukwa bagi. That ka small ukwa bagi yaka nono kalya mwakeshwa.
Mkwayo London Yamam. There are so many people waiting. London.
Yes, and then from there, he chased all of them. Abali press. At a short time, and then you saw another land cruiser, CTF Zambia police. As they were coming, and then to say no, for many pofionse Philippe now the police were taking off. Now. Epo mwale vote laba Mwamba muchalo cha Zambia kitulelo mwali mwene po ba polisi batamsha abantu kulanda tusefu meni po twala chitefi ififi chitile ba UPND bashanga ulubo lolu akulafa one by one. Sorry for saying this. And 2 ba Mwamba mwe balikoko ku America try all means esheni konga kuti kwa babe ngashitila ba UPND Simon bakalubulule pamfwa bepe mutote kafwaya balubulule oko batwele mutote kafwaya tale moneka nava bepa the war we are crying what a government, what a shame government. Thank you very much Mwamba nshile ko time wambi balandi.
Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
La Mwamba Mwabombeni na la PS gonse Mwabombeni ya ntoba nchilumbulwa. Well la Mwamba, let's get to the point. Ukulingana nefilanda na mayo. The battle has been won by Wakainde because this is what he wanted. He has forced himself to grab the right of the people, the majority of the people in Zambia. Bamwamba and the rest of you, Nabonse, Abasumina, Pakwika Munomchalo, you've collected, you've gotten a lot of information, Namkwata evidence. Bonse Badiabadi ama preside officers, Muma polling stations, Nabakwata Yomleva Tama G20. Elo, umulando wa pereba munduire, badi aba ambushti, yonse yani evidence. Abantu balefwa ukubatwala numba kuchidye. Kuchidye ba Mwamba fyondenieba. You know, we can't just sit back. Ba Mwamba fwa baledila, tulibengi mu Zambia. Group ya Wakainde, it's 1%. 1% group ya Wakainde. Badabe nyaba ba mchilonganino evaleria. Ba Mwamba kwa twalikwata abantu. Let me tell you, everywhere twalikwata abantu obutumfwako. Wakainde balilusa bakwete 0. Now muchita collect information. Now mukwata full information. I mean evidence. Apata paineka kwa tukwaya wayo kula chitashani. Ba Mwamba, we need to move on. Aftermath number. Financial fokulanda number. When you look around in the Western world, even where you live there in America, the president, Trump, immigrants. Why? Because the countries where those people come from are the countries like what's happening in Zambia. So, I'm appealing to all the international communities, more especially America, to intervene. Ngabalefo kuba kubayikala muchalo chesu ababa kulama leaders. Please do something so that we stay in our own countries. Our countries, yes, but if you don't help out your international communities and you're just looking around, there will be so many immigrants who will migrate. And when we find ourselves here in this world, you start whipping us, you start making us slaves. But you are looking at what's happening. You know, Africa is a young democracy, tayari quarter democracy. So you want my international community, you people who are in Zambia, do something. Get Kainde out of that seat. He's a safe.
Thank you very much. Let's take some more calls and we begin to wind up the program. Thank you very much. Sorry. We may need to quickly close. Let's see. Please call. We want to go back to
574. Chancer given MEE 6,650. Mushimba Brian OPP 6,269. Silumbe Richard LM 3,304. Kunda Howard Zawapa 2,561. Njovu Akim A DU 2,496. Siamunene Richwell NFP 1,963. Pule Daniel CDP 1,348.
Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's take the calls quickly, then I bring in Augustine. We begin to wind up. I want us to end our program on top of the hour. We are not going to do the 4-hour marathon, no. Thank you. Someone wants me to comment about the News Diggers story. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
All right. We are very disappointed at the fact of what has happened in our country. We never expected what has happened, and unfortunately it has happened because in a crooked way and in one person's interest, which is very bad. But one thing which I can able to tell you is that there is God in heaven, and He does not fail. Zambians are crying right now, but one thing is that this God is a God of justice, not of justice. And the only thing which I can able to tell my fellow Zambians is that let's just be on our knees and pray. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make a contribution.
Anonymous, from back of the Mamba Mabumba.
Alpha will anonymous, make your contribution.
In a contribution yandi this morning yakwebati short time yapwa. Apane mkumona kwandi ngakuti bayi ba votes ukuteko ngakuti babusenda pamaka. Ama abductions kuipaya ukuiba ama votes broad daylight nabantu balemoni ninga ama petitions ayanga ya makotu mutamwaka babantu abakumona bengi chikabashani nende mona kwati na ama petitions kuposa fish. I think tubarekerefi bateke pamaka fini fyo badefwaye nomba ndesapa kuchisuminisha okweba chichibe padi chibe efichaba anefa okutulanga really apa 5 years iyi finono fe tumwene padi aba bakainde chilemu iyi nomba 5 years olo ala tulanga who the man really is 5 years batutekere pa ku blame aba nabo ni the PF this the PF that we inherited empty coffers. The economy was badly broken twalikwete nkongole 5 years bateke ipa campaign yabo balera ndokwebati naba wamya economy inflation rate iri nomo naba kwata n'endalama mu reserves nomba achisuminisha leso kwebati bateke na kabiri 5 years nomba twalamo nofo bala sonta apa fwe bena Zambia nombolo twalamo na pantu natu monakale emibere yabo during these elections kwebati tabakwata oluse tabakwata akatinero tabasaka manero tabatino omuntu nenso ni tabakwata nomba katubapere tumutonomba.
Thank you, my dear sister. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make a contribution.
Yes, good morning, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good morning.
Yes, this is Mr. Mbenga from Kapiri.
Make your contribution, my brother.
Yes, Mwamba. I think if Kulala for the past summer days when you are looking at the happenings, what is going on, you are awake the whole night thinking of what has gone wrong in our country. I was one of those that was monitoring the votes within Kawe Central. And when they were accounting, Batshala, he was by far, in fact, even on presidential, but the margin was not that huge. President but the margin was quite huge. Even on the mayor Pondamari. Of course, a bit even, but Pondamari was still far away. So now to hear that in that constituency things have been turned around and they have been given to a person who has not won. It is the same scenario in all the in many of these constituencies where these things have happened. People have evidence. What is required is to go to court. Of course, we know that the courts are compromised, but we should give it a try. We go there with the evidence. It's very unfortunate that these things has happened to Zambia. Our democracy now has been spoiled by UPND. But you know what is giving me confidence is that this, even if it looks like it is a stolen thing, I think there's something God wants to show us. There is really something God wants to show us. At his own appointed time, I think God will take charge. And he will take charge not long from now. Thank you so much. I leave it to the others to contribute.
Thank you very much. Yes, the matters that happened in Kabwe is extremely, extremely concerning. The opposition was leading with very wide margins. And to see those results given to the president and his men that had lost, similar to what we saw in Matero, Mandevu, we have seen the same things. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Your brother, yes, and my brother is just Saturday. I know yesterday when I called you, I was saying this is my last call. Of course, I was licking my wounds. You need to lick your wounds and you say, okay. But my question is, where do you get the courage to run people that don't like you? Everywhere. People don't like you, and you go and get that. And this man, I know, Tuleanda no kwamba if ya lubana nomba, he's got yellow teeth, alanunka mukanwa, ala chitashani, we shouldn't be saying those things. But how do you force yourself on people? I've got
laughing, and then uyu mutoto wesu uyu vamufwaye mutoto. The last time you were with Mutoto Kafwaya, I was laughing with you on TV. You know, this guy is not going to live a peaceful life, and his end will be so bad.
Thank you, Kola. Thank you. Yeah, let's take two more calls and we revert back to. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
My name is Apostle Sakala.
Apostle, make your. Thank you, Apostle. Make your contribution.
Ambassador, we just want to say God is in control. Everything that has happened, God was already aware. But my word of encouragement goes to the president of NRPUP, Mr. Brian Mundubile, that he shouldn't lose hope. He should stay focused and grounded, because the Lord has got work for him ahead. And perhaps this is the time to reconcile and move forward, yes, for God's mercy to prevail.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Master Gamamba, here it's good morning.
Yes, make your contribution.
Yes, some of us haven't slept. This is David Moyowambwe in Western Province. You see, I'm a very prophetic person. And what makes me prophetic is because politics is like law. You have to be a historian. You have to go back to the past to understand the present and the future. Honorable Brian Mundubile and Honorable Makebi. Honorable Makebi's party was called Resurrect. Honorable Makebi's party, there's a word reconciliation in those two words. He was supposed to stand on an FDD ticket, but whatever happened, he never. God still made him go through a party called reconciliation. So let's focus on the word reconciliation. This country is bleeding. This country, economically, it's bleeding. I've had the privilege of living a life of a diplomat like you. And I've had the privilege of living again amongst the poorest people in Zambia. Zambia has different classes of people. When you go to Lusaka, when you're at Mandayo, you enjoy it. Just drive a kilometer up behind Mandayo. You won't even manage to drink water. People still use Petra trains and wells next to a Petra train in garden compound, Chaisa. So let's not have a situation where we are taking back this country. This country, we've gone 10 steps backwards, 35 years backwards, this country. But what should we do as Zambians? What do we want? Do we want to spend the next 5 years battling out in courts? The donor community, the international community, the world has moved on. A few years ago, right now, the American government could have already spoken. Who could have spoken? But that's not the situation we have now. The odds are against us. So right now, what I would advise, let's sober up. It has happened. Let's congratulate Brian and Makebi and his team. In 2 months, they've garnered 73 MPs. 3 months ago, the UPND was saying there's no opposition. Today, at least with independence and whatever, but I'm just talking about the National Restoration Party, it has 73 MPs. It took 5 years for Mr. Michael Sata to break through. His first election, he had only 1 MP. So these guys, in 2 months, they've gathered this. The UPND, I know, they already have a majority, 141 members of parliament. So this time, let's look at a new chapter. We don't have platforms, and Zambia can't afford. So what I would advise, Wamwamba, you are a diplomat. You are a diplomat. You've got the experience. As you said already, this thing was an ad hoc. It's a combination of so many other smaller parties which came together to form the Toze Pamoza Alliance. It's time to build from what God has given us or given you.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
Not afford. Yeah.
Thank you, David. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Oh, Mr. Mwamba, nine wineta pali na umbi. Tunalanda. Byokuchira ndandi ati anonymous. Nine wineta pali na umbi. Kwene tunalanda pochakwe bati ingachakwe bati batu poka batu ibila nani kani apa pene tiachitike ife akati amavotsi yonse ayobalile ba mundu bile ba president besu basenda bachita inflate amafigazi paikala fena tondolo. So usheta tatule chimuno kwe bati chikatwalirira tikabati efifine kaili nishibacho muno kwe bati chilife correct irafine bachitire. Elo nombecho ningalanda chakwe bati akonso ko bakulainda tabakakwata omutende so bakula fatu kala ba security sana. Why? Because ama conscious bonse conscious na bakwata ko bata ama elections basend baby election. So I think if tuinga chitafe ilo tuleshira leso mu inoro bati apilo lekesheko na hivyo kuliko intampuro shumosho tukule tuwatekinga shapala ukwe bati maybe ukuya kukoti but not amakoti ya muno unless maybe ku ICC or anywhere we can go. If that is possible then kuti chafuilisha kwe chalo chesu cha Zambia kwa pantanji kwena na hapo nikipona shila peni na langu.
Thank you very much. Correct. Thank you very much. Let's see now. Let me bring in my guest. We begin to wind up.
I therefore declare Hichilema Hakainde S to be president-elect. $1,574. Chance are given.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. We are about to close. Oh, Wachandavaisa. Aovotoala Sheila. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Make your contribution.
I will remain anonymous, Honorable.
Hello, make your contribution.
Yes, so my election is not even something to be proud about. All of us, we know who the winner was. So I'm on my way to work. There are no people that are celebrating. Everyone is sad. How do you impose yourself on people who didn't even vote for you? It's a shame. Actually, it's a shame. And Panombe 5 years Arabaku. Monamonofa is Arabasta exposed. Sky 10 airports, whatever, all those nurses who are employed by Malari. Monamonesha Rachitika. And I'm told Jugobati has chosen Parliament as a preferred ground for inauguration. What a shame. What a shame. Because now people boo him because no one is happy with him. So never give up and never lose hope. God is on our side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Jackson, make your contributions quickly.
Therefore, we push it push kwena ama international monitors ushe nini stone shwale bomba kulia ama election yes kwena. Bantu nasi tupapusha sana. Fa ba lesta wino kumune foto wa votere ne fo fiare ende fintu. Ero kumfa result ya fuma yambi. Kichi mona nani kana na impeachment bacha nombe charo cheswa mwambo kulingana na mwebade kufero fya abanenso. Nikwisa ture yanga inge foto arayi kara muri omusango.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow, the calls are now coming tap. Waumfuat Bachanda Vaisa. Bachanda, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's just take this call. Just a minute. Sorry.
Please, Ambassador, allow the people to voice out.
Allow the people to voice out. Let me just take this call. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Hello? Yes.
Hello.
Make your contribution.
Good morning, Vamamba.
Good morning.
Good morning, Zambia. Zephania Piri is my name. I'm calling from Lusaka, Zambia. I want first and foremost, before I contribute, I want to congratulate President Brian Mundubile and his running mate. They have won this election, but we know all what has happened. Because why am I saying so, Vamamba? In the country, people are mourning. It's quiet. Only UPND were saying that Dichololo, only a few. But Zambians, we know when the elections were free and fair, Zambia come out this time around, they would have stood on the street celebrating, but they can't celebrate because they know that what has happened. Now, what I want to tell the Zambian people is that President Hakainde Hichilema, in May, he promised us that he's going to win by 5 million votes. And a lot of people made them feel that maybe there was some mingalato which has been done. I think that's what also made Zambian people to create vote apathy, because he was sure that he's going to win by 5 million votes. Now, what is shocking is that he has won with 2,930 something vote, which represent, I think, 60% according to what they have said. But when you look at the low turnout, the entire elections is 57%. Now, what I'm trying to say is that in 2021, he won with a similar number, only 155 votes, Mamamba. These are the numbers, the voters which President Hakainde Hichilema, he has achieved in 5 years. A president who has done a lot for this country, as he claims, free education, the economy is better now. How can in 5 years he has only increased by 155 votes? Meanwhile, Brian Mundubile and Makebi, within 3 months, they have gained 1.8 million. Who is the winner? The winner is Brian Mundubile and Makebi. So my appeal is that now there is a question which Zambians are asking. Is President Hakainde Hichilema going to stand again on a podium to say, you are the loser, I am the winner, when he's supposed now to make our leaders, those in opposition, to feel that, yes, even to speak, to say, I voted for Brian Mundubile without being arrested, without being, beaten by what is happening today. And I am challenging President Hakainde Hichilema to speak about the violence, to speak about what has happened. Zambians were not free. Are we going to speak the way we have been gagged for the last 5 years. Now, with this issue, now he has won for the second term. Zambians, that's why they did not celebrate. The entire country, here in Mandev, it was quiet. I didn't sleep. I was expecting people to make noise. There were just pockets of people who were just saying that Dichoro. It's a wake-up call for the president. Thank you.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Let me say voice of Kobabe. I'm just trying to hide my name. Yeah, so talking about these international observers, I think they are not there to help us because if you look at the way they are behaving, it's something that, it makes sad reading. And at the same time, I think when they come here, they make a mistake of employing Zambians to observe elections on their behalf. Because, if they employ Zambians, they do not know whom they are employing, UPND is a very, very crafty, party. They could easily, send their own people to observe elections on behalf of say, EU. So I think I would suggest that when they're coming here to observe elections, they should come people, Europeans, I believe those may not compromise. And at the same time, my question is, where do they deploy their observers? For example, EU, I think, deployed, is it 250 observers? But now, couldn't they see the malpractice in Lusaka where Karufianya and other thugs were, storming polling stations, stealing ballot boxes and causing, so much havoc? I don't know. But then the other thing is, these international, like especially European Union, they got interest in Zambia. These guys, they want our mineral wealthy, and they could easily, support their own person like Hakainde Hichilema. Look at Tony Blair. Tony Blair supports HH. So you don't expect, EU to come and help us here. Look at even BBC, the way they are reporting. They are not. I haven't heard them report about maybe I missed them. The government deploying the army in total centers, chasing away the various political party agents who should have been guarding the votes. I haven't heard them. Even the SADC, I don't know what they are doing. So I think they are not there. They are not here to help us. So I think Zambians should take matters in their own hands, lawful, of course, to ensure that we guard the votes. My only fear is that now that we still have the UPND disaster party, still ruling this nation, we don't expect to have no elections in the next 5 years. Definitely, they'll extend the term limit, perhaps even abolish term limit and things like that. So I think we just have to continue trusting in God. The most unfortunate thing is that we have a tyrant in Zambia who's working with the white people. They are tyrants in this continent, like Yoweri Museveni. But the resources of Uganda are helping the people of Uganda. Rwanda, the same. So I think we need just to continue praying. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's take. Ya fulama cost wala station bachanda wafire balanda. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions. Okay. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good Ambassador, and good morning to everyone. I'll remain anonymous. I'm calling from the United Kingdom.
Thank you.
Yes, please. So my take on this whole thing is that first and foremost, congratulations to our President Beer Mate and his running mate. Yes, so my contribution or my take on this would be, I would suggest we don't even go for the rerun or even petition these elections, because what is going to come after this is going to be worse than what we have experienced so far. This is somehow a trap. This is somehow a trap to say the moment they petition, then something sinister is being cooked out there. So even all these malicious allegations and all that, they're just like what Mr. Mukonka said. They want to cripple the opposition. You understand? So should they make a mistake of going for a rerun, what I see happening will be worse than what we have experienced. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, caller. I need to bring in my team. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Make your contribution.
This is Alfred calling from within Lusaka.
Alfred, make your contribution.
Ambassador, uluwo lubi lwaingira mu kyalo ky'esu kya Zambia. Uluwo lwakweba nti our defense forces, our security, heading an individual to gain power. Uluwola lwabipisha esa twafu. We look so hopeless, we look so helpless.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Mwabuka Shanga Mwamba.
Mwabuka. Twabuka.
Natotera nikukabwe kuno.
Mkwai.
Yeah. Kulanda kwa ndine fendera nda pa my election ya ama election ni natu ya muna bonsa chita ya weme. Lelo kulanda kwa ndine kwa kwebati. Kabwala langa iba. Olo mwalanda fya chao che ntumuleke fye na tumumona. Ishiwe na next time akesa ishwati abata pali action batekinga. Kabwala ni kabwala. Takwa tensoni ava unave wa ukwa bulensoni. So are you sure mulenje watu mu 2031 again bakesa landa fya tioshani bakesa landa tabana ngotuka wachite fine because bale kosera kuromba nishi mu mind bakeshuwa tawa kuba stafisha hata putapali fya kolatika au kwamba yose 5 years oyo watu pishamu uli onse ali mona wanka we mu mind. Why mwalachita accepted ati aba bantu bakesa chinja mu 2031 tawaka chinje apo pafuile twa munafe the way forward to taking up action. Boneni ichiriro bali kosele ichiriro itabalungu ukuchikosera sana ichaishire twafwa nikunse afyalo bali rusu mlandu but why apa mungalanda ati yo apa chala bashani chen tumunefefo twalafwana nangofo mwalatu afo mwe bali kuntanshi abata bakachinje na mu 2031 chikawa wesi aba imisango bakwatanishi shine elo wengi muitegetera cyo tupembere atiyo bakachinja bakachinje bakula chinjanya afefu balarusha tipati yabo pale chinjanya imira ndo bakwete na shifula tabakachinje bufi. Thank you mubombe wino.
Thank you very much. Let me revert to my team. My team, there are various things happening. Where is my, sorry, I'm speaking without my team. There are various things that are happening. The police have picked former member of parliament from Kushi South and the senior member of the Tonse Pamosi Alliance, Davis Sopa, is currently at Kawata police station. You know there's been a crackdown, and especially with this talk of a so-called militia, we expect a severe crackdown. And there are currently protests in Mandevu. Mandevi is one of those areas that voted for Brad Mundwila en masse, Munali, Matero, huge numbers, and places like Kabwe, where they've just swapped the results or have increased. He had good results in Solwezi, out of where they are saying President Hakainde Hichilema got 52,000, something like up to 20,000 have been given to the president. Brand did very well in Solwezi, if you look at reports. Bachanda, we missed you, and we're coming here to close. Now you are coming, you are fresh. Give us your quick brief.
Wow. It's Wamwamba and Wamukoka, it's very difficult. It's a difficult time for the country. And some of the things that are difficult to even understand is that how can you convince a child that mathematics, numbers don't lie, isn't it? How do you convince one that numbers don't lie when you see the Solwezi case? Right there, you see the Solwezi case. And then you tell Abantu that numbers don't lie. How? Just how? Where the discrepancies are very, very, very visible. And how do you just convince any basic grade 9 civics that there is separation of power and what it means? How do you have a conversation around separation of power? No. There is separation of power. How do you just convince people? If you look at what is happening in our electoral system, if you look at the outcomes of the numbers, I know, which I agree with Dr. Sishwashu and probably colleagues that have spoken about it, that in the southern part of Zambia, the numbers are not adding up. How do you even tell people we are one Zambia, one nation? Because it is almost impossible, whereby all the political party structures that people have had, it's not just about the Tonsi. Let's pick socialists, for example, or we pick Citizen First. Honorable Kalaba has been on the ground for probably most of the time, the longest of the time. He starts to be given zeros everywhere. Nothing. Everyone else, you expect a polling station, the entire constituency, where it is a 0, and then you come and tell us, oh, no. We are one Zambia, one nation. Can someone explain that? They are creating a very big illusion around how people are going to view each other, how Zambians usually will view each other, the conversations in the background. You see, there is a conversation that is on media like we are having here right now. And there's also another conversation at family level, at workplace, there's these conversations. And these informal conversations are very, very strong. And when these informal conversations take a twist of perceiving that it is them against us, that is where we see the division. How do you explain, Wamwamba? How do you just explain and convince that indeed we are one people who must have humility, who must have empathy, who must have love for one another, when senior members of UPND, and in this case I'll pick on my colleague Oliver Shala, where you properly mock the woman, the family in distress, you first of all just go ballistic by the name. You don't even call it the right name. You try to correct it. Pure profanity and sarcasm. Where is that? How do you just explain that? This is way bigger. This is way much deeper than what we see as an election result. The issue of militia does not exist, I think. That's my opinion. It is like, it is a co-opted name that when you support the Tonse and the structures of Tonse, which every political party must have and should have. Every political party must have a campaign message, must have a campaign team, must have monitoring team, must have security team, must have influencers, must have. So these are must have. And even the UPND, Socialist, SAFE, and other parties have these structures. Now, you come and co-opt the name for purposes of dealing with everybody, that, oh, there are militias. So that you say a militia group. But, Vamwamba, like you said, at times, people are quick to say, oh, it's militia, it's militia. They do not know the depth of such statements. The moment I heard, oh, these are militia, these are militia, these are militia, they are talking about militia. So what it means, the country is totally unsafe for both investment, for both, peace and stability. How do you expect tourism industry to boom when you're talking about militias that can harm and hate people? So, Diatulela and Defintu, we may be very excited about certain words. How are you going to convince a person who has never stepped in Zambia, and especially with the perception that people have about Africa? I can tell you, Amanda, I felt embarrassed yesterday. I felt so embarrassed because people think that these elections are just being seen in Zambia only. They don't realize that the global village is looking at when investors, when people with financial must invest, hear about an election, they tune and focus on that election. They are looking at it. They are reading what is coming up. And at times, they're not going to go to the media and say, oh, let's wait for CNN. No, they will look for themselves. They will see. And here, the way Rosary Tonga was treated, oh my goodness. And I was watching with one of my Canadian friends here, because they knew, obviously, I spoke about the elections and I was bragging about how peaceful elections were and how instant free was. And thereby now, that man, I don't know, the man who was called Fabian, shows up and roughs the guy up. I don't know if he's a security guard or is a member of the police or army, whatever. Then he slaps the guy. When he slaps him, I'm expecting that there should be consequences for him to do that. What happens? Nothing. First, someone shouted, beat him. Then you incite people to beat him up. And when he's beaten, what are we showing? It's like we have moved in a space where we can't differentiate between what is wrong and what is right. We are a people that would not defend what is right. How do you explain that action? And then he's pushed out, is thrown away, and things happen. The Electoral Commission started well, but their ending has been so bad. I can't believe that these are people that even know what is at stake. You see, if you have watched a lot of movies, you would think someone has held hostage their families, and now they cannot speak for themselves. They cannot tell people what is right because they're scared for their life, their own lives, or their family lives. It will be a very difficult run for the UPND. It will be a very, very difficult run. They really need to do a lot.
There's a matter we asked, what's the way forward? You probably were listening in the background when we were discussing this matter. I don't know what your thoughts are.
But way forward is that we are dealing with, first of all, with people that would not budge and say, okay, let's do the right thing, because the opportunity to do the right thing has just been taken under. For me, I think it's important that if there are avenues for judicial recourse, they can be done. Although there is a perception, the perception which we all have passed judgment before we try that. And this perception is that ngamwaya court bakayakana. And I don't know how, when the judiciary hear that, what comes to their mind. Is it that if there's evidence, like the Solwezi case, then many other inflated cases are presented before the law, before people that should dispense justice, they see that, and then they say that is okay. For me, I would still want to see that last nail in the coffin, if they want to do that. Because if you do not do that step, what is your explanation? That no, because we knew. How did you know? We will be judging the judiciary probably differently and not in a fair manner. Because in the judiciary, there are good men. They are. But some of them, yes, we know they'll be corrupt. But it's not everybody. That's my view. It has yet to be proved wrong. If the judiciary is independent, if the judiciary is objective, and there are things that are right there before them that have affected this, how do you just explain the numbers, 25,000, the next 55,000 at many constituents? So for me, I would want that we see that, but also not to abandon what has been started. Abandon what has been started would be there. Why is it that there is rush to arrests? The rushing to arrests is to make people get compromised, number one, and stop people from talking. Number two, that if you talk, then militia, the next thing they're picked. So that is the direction. So I am of the view that we must see if there are opportunities for judicial review, we take it that way. If we don't want to take the judicial review, it's also about the leadership, that they may have probably much more details than I may have, where they will say, okay, we will leave it at this and start to reorganize ourselves. So that is how I see the future. But the future will be very difficult for the ruling party, whether the elections are petitioned or whether they are not petitioned. The future looks very glared, and there is a lot of brutality that might be meted on the people. But you see, all bad things, and I think those of us that were from the school of Mr. Siavwapa, the one that was in Livingstone, he said one thing, and I remember my first day attending assembly, and those of us that were at the Livingstone Teachers Training College in 1991, 1992, you remember what he said. He said, all bad things come to an end. Quietness follows and remains. And he made us say it, say it in unison. He said, say it after me. All bad things come to an end. Quietness follows and remains. No matter how much people are mistreated, that mistreatment will come to an end. No matter how many people are going to be arrested because they've refused to accept what has been placed for them, those arrests, those beatings will come to an end. Just like a life of the journey in a person, the life of a person, it comes to an end, he's born and then he's going to die. So even this process that is being done, but people must understand, especially you colleagues, that one who was slapping Fabian, the one who's Fabian slapping Roosevelt, he will have his day one day. He's going to be held to account. Think up, why don't you just do the right things? But going forward, those are my views about this election. It is mad, a lot of irregularities, a lot of, it's difficult, where you say, oh, congratulations, everything is good. Yes, they'll impose themselves on the people. It's not the people that have made the choice. It is an imposition. But when the imposition is done, yes, you see, what is difficult is that no matter how well you want to rationalize it, articulate it, say, oh, they want to, there is a lot of gaps with information. They will give a statement, but when you put that statement under scrutiny to ask critical questions, it falls, everything just falls in place. There are no answers. Oh, there are militias, where are the weapons? High-grade weapons, let's see them. Oh, there is this, these are people that wanted to take what? Where are the militias? Where are the weapons? It is just like information is coming out from one direction without evidence. Now, before you give us information, investigate so that you have a position. And when this position, when you communicate to the people, give the people the evidence. Anything that comes, evidence that comes after you have spoken, you arrested last week, then today, that's when you want to present. It's a cooked up. It's information cooked because you don't know. It's a cover up. It's a cover up. It's a cover up. And even if you cover it up, people will know inside their heart what they did. We kept telling the UPND, stop this level of double standards in application of everything. Kalufianya shows up, beats the people up. Nothing happens to him. Fabian, in full presence of even commandos, beats somebody. Nothing happens. And the people are celebrating. Beat him up, beat him up. How do we even convince the people that come? We cannot basically enforce our own rules that we've sat down, crafted for ourselves, that this is a way we are going to live. We fail to do that. We have a justification for the breakdown in the rule of law. What are my justifications? You want to justify. It is not right. Let's see how this process is going to be and what is going to happen. The only thing is that there has to be unity of purpose, especially on the part of the opposition. And let's see, because you see, the people that have been helping to do wrong things, illegal things, their expectations are out of this world. They are off the moon. We will see, because there are people that, it's just difficult to understand. There's a bit of shock. I don't know, Amamba. So that is how I.
No, thank you very much. And let's begin to close. Augustine, give your last remarks.
Ambassador, first of all, Wachanda, good morning. Good to see you. We are for a long time been only the two of us, and we're looking for you. But we're happy to have you, and thank you for those wonderful sentiments. Yeah. So, Ambassador, there are a few callers, that called in, and I wanted us to focus on those. There are a few that I think a couple of them that called, or three, that were saying the petition would be a waste of time. These people would rule by force, and let them just rule and stuff like that. I think we are all cognizant of events of President Hichilema's first term, how he played around the Constitutional Court. However, failure to follow through with the constitutional process may be an indictment on ourselves as a people of Zambia. And for me, I want to depart from that idea that we should not attempt to petition. Yes, the chances are slim that there will be success in the Constitutional Court. But I think the idea is that we need to place on record the industrial level of rigging that we observed. And without a petition, it remains speculative. It remains, to a larger extent, social media based. It remains only in our minds. And there will be nothing specifically documented. There has to be some form of action that will put it on record, and it becomes a reference point, because this is unprecedented. It has never happened in the
Augustine,
elections.
I also agree with you that a legal petition should be placed before the Constitutional Court for purposes of documenting, for purposes of exposing, for purposes of bringing to this country the challenges against established norms and against established constitution, where the constitution has been broken without regard to the law, without even regard or fear to our own society, where you unleash soldiers in polling stations, in totaling centers. Totally, that's unacceptable. You and I know the power of writing letters. You know, when I'm looking at the observer missions and their findings, I can even see my language, because there's no institution I didn't write to in the last 3 years exposing President Hakainde Hichilema's misrule, abuse of the institutions of democracy, and abuse of human rights, taking away freedom of expression. And you see it. It helped them use it as a basis to investigate, and then they found it on the ground themselves. So these events, petitions, writing letters, are never in vain. I just thought I could agree with you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And you see, that is actually one thing we need to note. Remember that in most cases, these observer missions are not so much helpful. But, you know, in as much as I heard the caller ask, what were they doing? What did they do? I think for me, I would have a different view. I've had a little bit of difference in the Zambia election. They've been able to come out openly and call out certain things. They have stuck out and said this was wrong. The campaign process, the manner in which finances for public funds were used, they have called out certain elements, and that is the push that we need to escalate. So the petition, I think that is very key. And remember that there's also a couple of callers who were polling agents. Those are key witnesses. Those can be key witnesses in the process. There are some who will be scared. There are some who will not. And there are others who are calling on, you know, people to go to as far as the ICC. There is sufficient ground to go to the ICC. There is sufficient ground to take the matter to the Hague. And, you know, all those are options that we need to consider, because we cannot allow Zambia to degenerate into what Hakainde Hichilema is trying to push us in. He has allowed an army commander to play a part in a civil process. That does not happen. It should never happen. However, if we fold our arms and watch, this will become the norm, and we have to stop it. The only way we stop it, we have to be part of this process. And that is very, very, very key. You know, I want to agree with Dr. Sishua's there was a tweet he made that this is a coup d'etat. The president and the Zambia army have staged a coup against the people of Zambia. There is no better way to explain the manner in which this election has been stolen other than describing it as a coup by an organized coup by the President of the Republic of Zambia and the Zambia army itself. They have usurped the powers of the people to choose who should govern them and decided on their behalf. You cannot suppress a population like that. You cannot suffocate a population that for 5 years you have taken away liberties of expression, freedoms of association, freedoms of assembly, using, legislations or laws such as cyber laws, and the Public Order Act, all those things. You can't. And then when they express themselves in the ballot, you go and follow them and take away their civic duty to choose who governs them at a particular time. That is very, 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 very key. It is sad to see now what is emerging from the streets of Lusaka. Of course, there are a few. I saw some posts that there are cars lined up onto Community House. People, the UPND, pockets of UPND cadres or supporters celebrating the victory. But already we can see the tension in Mandevu. We can see the silence in the streets. You will agree, Ambassador, that when President Michael Sata won the election, the victory was announced at night. The streets burst into wild celebrations. The people did not mind what time it was. There was celebrations across the country from round about midnight or past 01. People were celebrating up to about 04. People were on the street. It was joy after joy. That is what it means when the people's voice is respected. When President Hakainde Hichilema himself won in 2021, again, there was celebrations on the streets. There was joy on the street. That in itself tells you that the people had expressed their will. When you begin to see what is happening in Mandevu, that is just a tip of the iceberg. But what will even be worse is, what is it that President Hakainde Hichilema wants to do? I did see him issue a statement, and that statement should give you an idea. It should give you an idea, and it should make you, fear for the future. Ambassador, a president who preaches peace, a president who's reaching out for unity, would mention the name of his opponent in his immediate statement. President Hakainde Hichilema could not even mention the name of Honorable Brian Mundubile in his statement. He didn't mention, he just said the ideas of our colleagues. He didn't say his name. He cannot pretend that he doesn't know who his main opponents were in this election. That tells you one thing. The president is going to come in heavy on the opposition. There will be a massive crackdown. He potentially will take over with a heavy hand. And now that is the mistake that he will make. Because when you rule people with a heavy hand, you are creating a fertile ground for radicalism. People will be radical as a result. And he has to be careful. He really has to be careful as he goes about how he will rule in the next 5 years. There will be many more people who disagree with his rule. Many people will fall on the side from his establishment. The other thing I wanted to say is, there are sentiments, of course, that he will have, not sentiments that he will have the majority. He has the majority in parliament. The sentiments are that he will change the constitution. And one of the changes might border on how a president is elected. There are plans, according to what is coming from the UPND side, that they no longer want the president to be elected by the greater majority, first past the post. They want parliament to be electing the president. Those are some of the schemes that are happening. I would urge them to be, not to take Zambians for granted. You can use the Zambia army for a certain period, but you cannot use them all the time. They will disappoint you at some point. They will not be with you. And I don't think it's the entire Zambia army that is with you. A few weeks before the election, I did get sentiments that it would be this heavy-handed because some senior elements in the Zambia army believe that those people who were coming from the Patriotic Front were not the most disciplined in terms of managing the country, and they wouldn't want to allow them to come back. I think that is the propaganda that was instilled in some of them. Of course, some of them wanted to protect their interests, but it was evident at that point that the army will play a very, very significant role in this election. To what extent, I just didn't envisage that they will go into a private home and kill people. That, Ambassador, was the lowest point of our democratic process. It is my prayer that President Hakainde Hichilema will own up and review where the Honorable Mtote Kafwaya is. The children want to know. The wife wants to know. The family are looking for their relatives. Show them where he is. We know that he was shot because there was an eyewitness in Honorable Brian Mundubile. He was bleeding, and that was the last time we have heard about him. He is feared dead. No one has confirmed. We urge the president to come out. Yes, that has significantly blighted his bogus victory, and it has significantly blighted our record as a democratic and peaceful nation, because his ascendance to power is stained with blood. His hands, if he looks at them, should be dripping with the blood of Honorable Mtote Kafwaya that was dripping after those bullets. There was no need to go and kill the former minister and any other person so you can win a second term, or so you can impose yourself, as president for a second term. We appeal to President Hichilema to come out and tell the nation where Honorable Mtote Kafwaya is. His friends want to know. His supporters want to know. Please show us where Honorable Mtote Kafwaya is. We plead and we urge you on behalf of the family, on behalf of everyone who's asking questions. Mr. President, you owe us as Zambian protection. The constitution on which you will again swear requires that you protect our lives. And it is important that you protect our lives. So please show us where Honorable Mtote Kafwaya is. Again, you have arrested people who have done nothing wrong apart from being around your opponent. Those were arbitrary arrests with no investigation. Embarrassingly, your secretary to the cabinet issued a statement that should never even have made itself in the public. It's a shameful statement of admission of an operation that should never have been ordered. Mr. President, again, we are calling on you to release everyone who was arrested unconditionally. Those charges of treason that have been registered in the occurrence books at those police offices, you cannot charge them without a warrant and caution. Therefore, you cannot record a treason charge on someone when they've not been warned, when they've not been cautioned. You have not allowed lawyers to see them. You have not availed them lawyers. It's over 48 hours that you arrested them. You've not given them an opportunity for bail, police bond. Let's do the right thing. Respect the Constitution. I urge you to release those people. Bishop Mwamba is older than you. You can't accuse such a man of being a militiaman. You can't accuse him of being in charge of a militia. Absolutely not. Mr. President, that is not how you run a country. That is not how you manage your people. If you are a Christian, you believe in truth, you will have to release everyone who was picked up at the residence of Honorable Brian Munduvile, because none of them is a member of a militia. None of them had sophisticated weapons. None of them was hired to harm anyone. If there were security men that were hired, those were hired to protect and ensure that a candidate was covered. There were threats. There were threats on Honorable Brian Munduvile's life. And he needed to be protected. He needed a protection, just like you were protected by the Chakawas. So many people, the Halovas, when you were in the opposition, to get to you, you had to pass through a security detail of more than 10 men. You were heavily protected even in the opposition. We know that, We know that you were heavily protected. Therefore, you cannot criminalize the protection of your friend who was in the opposition, because you had no control over your cadres. You couldn't control your cadres who would approach him, who would want to attack him, who would want to harm him. You had no control. You were not there all the time. He didn't have state security. He needed to organize his own competent and professional security system. There's nothing wrong in doing that. Any opposition leader organizes his own in our country, in the United States. The moment they realize, well, you are, a potential running mate, they give you security. They release the FBI, they give you the CIA, to be around you. You become a state property. You would see that even President Donald Trump, before he was elected as president, he was protected by the CIA, the FBI, and so on and so forth. But that is not the case in Zambia. The opposition is vulnerable. They have to do it on their own. They organize their own security system, not to harm their fellow citizens, to protect themselves against potential attacks. And we saw that, look, they were ambushed at every point. Why didn't they go to Southern Province? Because they knew that when we go into Southern Province, there will be problems. They were tipped off. They were told, you will lose lives. It will be chaotic. Look at the confusion. Look at the fights between supporters of Honorable Gary Nkombo and supporters of the gentleman who was won, who was declared winner in Mazabuka. There were fights. It was chaotic. Now, if Honorable Brian Munduvile had gone into Southern Province, that would have been worse. In the interest of peace, him and his leadership says, well, let's just have a virtual meeting. Wherever they went, there were risks and protection was needed. There's nothing wrong. So you can't arrest people. You find them seated, you find them protecting, and you arrest them, and you just come up with a charge of treason. How do you even sleep? I think my appeal to you is to immediately release everyone that has been arrested, whether they are musicians, whether they are comedians, bloggers, security men, release them unconditionally, because the process and the procedure that you've picked them and thrown them in the chooks is unconstitutional in itself. Lacks integrity, it lacks due process. Therefore, I appeal to you, Mr. President, as you come and serve your second term, which you've obtained, and of course, it will be subjected to a legal process. Constitutionally, if it's subjected to a legal process, then you will have to wait for that legal process to be exhausted before you can sworn in. But yes, you still are the leader of the country. And during this time, you have to demonstrate that you want to unite the country. You have to demonstrate that you are ready to heal the country. And if you are going to heal the country, you must reach out, because you are the one who has the instruments of power. You therefore have to reach out to everyone. Release those you have arrested. That is how you begin healing. That is how you begin uniting. And if that is how you begin to rebuild the love of the country in the people. But if you're going to abuse those powers and want to silence people by throwing them in jail over trumped up charges, frivolous cases, then you are creating a hostile environment for the country. Right now, the callers have said, we all know there's tension in Zambia. Tension is rising because the majority that voted for you are not happy. They're not happy. Now, let us not allow that internal combustion to explode. We shouldn't allow that. You therefore have to take action. You therefore have to show that you are the bigger person and begin to heal the country. Begin to demonstrate that all you want is the country to be calm. When you do that, the people will respond. They will not agree with you, but they will let you rule. Even if they know that you've stolen from them, they will allow you to proceed in that process, a fraudulent process. Whatever it will develop, whatever it will bring up, so be it. However, they would not want to see you come for them in the manner you think, oh, because I'm president, I can do anything. Mr. President, Zambian, I'll urge you not to underrate Zambians. I'll urge you not to underestimate Zambians. You will make a mistake if you do that. And it's already on your watch that it's the first time a democratic election has been won using the military. You don't want it on your watch that Zambia exploded. Zambia burnt because of you. You therefore have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to lead this country into a calm, uniting direction. I thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. And I've got two quick updates. We have Honorable Davis Chisopa, who's been detained at Kawata Police Station, was picked from his home. He's former Member of Parliament from Kush South constituency and is a current campaign manager for Honorable Brian Mundubile in the just ended election. But my dear brother, Father Oscar Pombo Donosco, is calling and he wants to contribute. Father, make your quick contribution.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mwamba. Thank you so much, and thank you for the panelists. Thank you so much for the great job that you have done. My contribution is very simple at this moment in time. I'm not going to comment on many things that we have seen. I think everyone now in Zambia, we have seen what has happened. The irregularities, the harassments, and many other things. What I'm going to do, first of all, let me say thank you. I want to say thank you. I would like to say thank you to the Zambian people, first of all, for choosing the peace, regardless of whatever has happened, the Zambian people have chosen peace. They have been harassed, they have been tear gassed, and may God bless the Zambian people for choosing peace. And I would like also to thank the opposition political parties, especially I would like to thank in particular Honorable Brian Mundubile, the opposition major contender, and I would like to thank Honorable Makebi Zulu and all the team. I would like to thank them for the peaceful way they are handling. I'm sure the situation is not yet ended, but up to today, I'd like to thank them the way they have handled this situation. I would like to thank all those who have surrendered themselves, have been taken to custody, into custody, and the peace from their families. I'd like to thank the families who has also not retaliated, and they have chosen the peace. And after this Thanksgiving, to the young people in Zambia, to the elderly people, the marketeers, the vulnerables, I would like to thank each and every one. It's not up to us as citizens, as lay people, to judge from the point of view of legal matters, but we hope those who are responsible for the legal issues can also take to conclusion this matter. The last thing I would like to point at is what happened with the harassment of Tonga. Is it called Tonga? The Tonse Alliance representative in Mulungushi there, Tonga Roosevelt.
Yeah, Tonga Roosevelt.
Thank you very much. I'd like to comment on that one. 1991, the situation in Zambia was so terrible, tense, and there was hunger, lack of mealie meal, and many commodities. 1991. What happened that time? The people, they went to rampage and they wanted to go and saccage. They saccaged some of the shops which were called ZCBC. Am I correct? ZCBC and maybe something like NIEC, something like that. 1991. When that happened, Dr. Kaunda issued the army. The army came from Kamvinsa, and they were the Red Berets. The Red Berets army were issued to go and calm down the people who were saccaging and getting, and they were going to get, because there was no food, there's not enough food. So people went rampage to go and get something to eat. So now the Red Beret from Kamvinsa came, and everyone in the compounds, they taught their children, don't answer, don't speak, don't respond to the Red Berets. You respond when they ask you a question, you answer the question. Those people are so professional. They are so professional. So if they ask you a question, you answer. They don't ask you anything, keep quiet. I remember 1991. They came into our house. By that time, Bamwamba twale anshika pamapa pafipuna turotuna niturotwa yellow twa pinky tura katusinga nitunshitira twale tuitature pafipuna twale anshika.
Atama tablecloth.
No, Mukwaya.
Atama tablecloth. Nama.
Atama tablecloth. Thank you. So, pasipora tuanshika wino. Basa tupe abafiashi anshikeni sambeni. Tuasamba no kusamba bonse. Olo baishiri sapanga nda pamwesu. Batu ikushama question. Mwaliza mpapona imu. Achawe. So imweno mbaya niwana. Bausu walikwisi. Baba ikeri hapa. Banoko walikwisi. Ikeri hapa. Ngaimwe bapiribula tonso tupuna baposa bafwa efu balefwaya efyo bafuma n'okuyabaya. Now that's professionalism y'abasoja. 1991, the Red Barretts, seriously, they came to find out, they went away. No harassment, nothing else. Police. Now, if you ask Roosevelt, this is my point. And this is a very serious comment. The gentleman was wearing a black suit. I don't know his name. He looked as if he was a young man. He started insulting Roosevelt. He punched Roosevelt in the presence of a red ballot. And the red ballot did absolutely nothing. That incident speaks louder. Mwewa kalamba, mwewa aliko. Mwewa ishoba red ballot. Ofovava, but serious. They want peace. They defend the citizens. But in that incident, that red ballot, those red ballots in that place, they kept quiet. And this is what I would like now just politicians to think about. This incident was so serious and it explains a lot of things. That said, I am thanking everyone who chose peace. Now Zambians, they know who our President Hakainde Hichilema is. Everyone knows now. There is no more question to ask. There is no more doubt to ask. Everyone we know. Thank you, Amwamba. God bless you also. You have been an instrument in this period. So professional. So professional. Had it not been you, where were the Zambian people going to listen, to hear for good news in a difficult situation? Mwamba, God will bless you. Whether in this earth, no one is going to thank you. Get it from me. I am thanking you, and I'm praying that God can really reward you for what you have done. Gentlemen, you are a professional man. You are a professional man. You stood for the Zambian people. You stand for the Zambian people. How I wish not only the Zambian people can recognize you, but the international community. How I wish they can recognize you, Emmanuel Mwamba. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you. Not to do ili. I want to already saying at Chama tablecloth not to do ili. Thank you, Father Oscar Mwansapombo, for those kind words towards me. I even saw a write-up you've done that has been published by several newspapers. I'm very grateful. Thank you. I don't take that for granted.
If you're going to be on a platform such as this one, who ask for you to substantiate whatsoever statements you are making?
Yes, I'm substantiating.
What you're saying is that you are going to petition the outcome of the election.
We are
as an organization.
As an organization, we are petitioning these elections. We are petitioning a lot of
the presidential,
including the parliamentary, because of certain anomalies. Like I've mentioned, you cannot have the presidential getting a higher number of ballot casted compared to the parliamentary. These must reconcile in one way or the other. So we are going to petition those results where we feel that there is an anomaly. And we just hope that the commission will be available to listen to us and be able to reconcile those anomalies.
So
it's very, very important.
The issues you're citing, if you can list them one by one.
There is an issue, like the issue in Kaoma. In Kaoma, there is an issue where the presidential total cast votes were about 41,000, whereas for that of the parliamentary, the total cast was about 35. So where did the 7,000 come from? Or where did the 7,000 for the MP go to? Have you seen? So that needs to be reconciled. And I'm just being informed right now that in Solwezi, there is a very big discrepancy. The presidential total vote is about 52,000, if I'm not mistaken. Yet the parliamentary total votes is about 25,000. So that difference needs to be reconciled. So we are going to put in this before the commission so that these things are normalized and reconciled.
Can you imagine in Solwezi, only 25,000 voted for parliamentarians. The other 25,000 didn't bother to vote for anyone, but only the president. Come on. A clear case of ballot stuffing. And that's an area where they've also stolen votes from Brian Mundubile. Gentlemen, let me have your last words.
Well, I'm going first here. The anomalies are too visible and too extreme that you can't look the other way. You cannot look the other way in these anomalies. Someone has to explain. That's why Ambassador started with, how can you teach a student or anyone in class that numbers don't lie? If you're going to see that, and then you come and say, no, numbers don't lie. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Because just on the face value of it, like I've seen my colleague Kennedy Chanda is saying, it is just that. It has to be reconciled. And I know that they will definitely have to petition the results. One of the things I would want to focus on is what my colleague Augustina said, that this is a difficult time for the opposition and even with more the UPND government. And the president needs to hear what the realities are, not the way people have been misleading him. The president needs to be very careful and extremely careful how he handles this process going forward. The group of loyalists that are there, that have just profane sarcasm, look at the comments, look at what they say. Instead of talking about how they're going to support the president in unifying the country, what do? They go after everybody. And they create this fictitious, and I call it fictitious militia, which doesn't exist. It's basically labeling everybody who doesn't agree with the UPND to be militia, and therefore you must be crushed. If the president takes arbitrary arrests because of criticisms, because it's going to be Zambians, we are known for criticisms. We criticize government, we criticize our leaders, and we criticize to the point of you getting upset and getting annoyed. If he's going to have a very small skin, he will keep arresting. He will arrest, another one who will stand up. He will arrest, another one who will stand up. Look at what has happened. In the campaign trail, they arrested almost 30 in Mongo. Did that stop the campaign from going ahead? The campaign kept going ahead. They arrested the security detail of Honorable Brian Mundubile. The campaign was never stopped. It kept going. Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya was killed. Did it scamper people? No. Rosa Vetonga was slapped. Did it stop anybody? No. Even this time, even if Honorable Sopa is going to be arrested, it will not stop anyone. In Bemba, like they always say, if the president and especially the UPND take this approach of just getting everybody who speaks, anybody who speaks, anyone who criticizes, and linking them to the militia without any proof whatsoever, I've been waiting to say, let me see the militia. Let me see the militia. Where is the militia? Let me see that so that probably to change to say, oh, wait a minute, there is this evidence that has been, has been produced, and then therefore we can start having a conversation around that. It's not happening. So I think he must go overboard and speak to reaching out to the other people, to the people that don't agree with him, and start having a point of convergence, and to start having a thick skin, because he will be criticized and he will be petitioned. So it is important for him as president-elect. In the process, if results are petitioned, you wait. And at this point in time, stop the violence. Let people not hurt each other. There is life beyond the elections. When all this is settled up, people have scores to settle with each other if they're not handled properly. And that is the most dangerous point that I can see. As to the callers, one of the callers raised a very important thing, and it was about the international observers. International observers, colleagues in Zambia, you may not know, they are a very bad silent weapon for any government that doesn't play to the rules. Because in the countries they are coming from, for instance, if you have people that will come from Canada and come to observe an election, Canadians by nature, they are very polite, they are very diplomatic. They'll be speaking on things like, they'll saying maybe that, oh, this is what, they are detailed. They'll pick and analyze everything. One of the things that the advanced world have done is that they've detailed analysts. The analysts that analyze everything before a decision is made. They go to the fine prints. They look at our rules. They look at who has done what. And there are certain things that they left 200 years ago, maybe 100 years ago. Here in Canada, for instance, the police cannot just beat you up. They cannot just beat you up. If they do that, the community will rise, the community will protest, especially if it is a legitimate concern that you raised. Yes, if you become unruly, maybe to suppress you, they will do that. But the international observers will put pen to paper, like the two colleagues, Ambassador Mwamba and my colleague Mkonka. They are writers. When these guys sit down to write the detail to explain things, you will see things that will be happening. So as we move forward, you will see a different president. And I can tell you, the people that think that they have it easy, it is not going to be easy. Remember, look at the choice of inauguration. The inauguration has been set for what? And these people that are going overly excited, they think all of them are going to fit in there. They will see that the situation has changed if it goes through. But the first important thing is that let's scrutinize this electoral process that we've just completed. Let's have the judicial systems look at the way it was done, and let's not abandon the judicial process. Like we're saying, that the dossiers of things that have been done, the evidence of things that have been done need to be presented and be put on record. The goodness with a petition, even if it doesn't go through, even if it provides the basis for decision making, and it will always be on the record, and people pull out and refer to things that are there for purposes of future elections. So it will be a difficult time for the UPND government. They will not have it easy. Stop arbitrarily picking up people in the name of militias. That will not unite the country. That is not going to be helpful. Do not take that approach. That approach will explode, like my colleague Mkoka said. It will explode. All repressed feelings have a way of getting the natural outlet. When you suppress people, they will explode in a way. They've shown you the first batch of explosion on this election. You did not think there was opposition. The opposition came in 3 months, and you lost the elections in 3 months. Obviously, the military came in and did their best saving the UPND. So
thank you very much. Augustine, what are your last words? You are muted.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry about that. My last words are just, again, an appeal to the president to de-escalate the tension. He has the key to de-escalate the tension. And the only way that key would work is not to go for repression, is not to abuse the Constitution. He has a duty to protect every citizen, every Zambian. I appeal to him again to come forth and tell the nation where we will find Honorable Mtote Kafwaya. That is a matter of urgency. It is a matter of urgency on his desk. He must tell, as the commander of the armed forces in Zambia, he must tell us where, especially after that invasion of a private residence where Mr. Mtote Kafwaya is. He was shot during that operation. His family wants to know where he is. That is a matter of urgency. One life lost, one life unaccounted is one life too many. And the life of Honorable Mtote Kafwaya is as important as my life, as his life, as any other person's life. Where is the driver for Honorable Brian Mundubile? Where is the ADC for Honorable Brian Mundubile? Where is everyone that was on the scene? This is very key. The president should go ahead and ensure that everyone who's been arrested arbitrarily be released immediately, unconditionally. There is nothing wrong those Zambians did to be associated with Honorable Brian Mundubile. It was their constitutional right to associate with anyone they thought aligned with their views, with their aspirations. We cannot criminalize freedom of association. We cannot criminalize and weaponize freedom of expression. The president has a duty to calm this country, and he has to do it expeditiously. There's no holding back. There's no time. I wish every Zambian all the best. I understand many of us are disappointed. It's normal. Others will recover quickly, others will take time. There are many processes ahead. If we need to take those processes, let's do that. Let's follow through with any process that we feel will satisfy our disappointment, our disillusionment. We're at liberty to do within the law, within procedural operation, what we can to ensure that we correct this coup on the will of the Zambians. Those that want to petition, the leadership want to petition, we're welcome to do that. Those that want to go anywhere else, we are welcome to do that. As long as we push through to ensure that we protect the institutions of our country, let's go ahead and do what we can. Zambia belongs to everyone. It doesn't belong to any single individual, any single group. It belongs to everyone who is a Zambian, identifies themselves as a Zambian. Ambassador, that is my view. And I wish everyone who supported Honorable Brian Mundubile and Ebi Zulu the very best. you know, you did exceptionally well. Their vote has been stolen. That is a fact. It's an established fact. Even one vote missing, one vote unaccounted is a stolen vote. In this case, we're talking about perhaps 1 million votes stolen. So congratulations to everyone who supported Honorable Brian Mundubile, and also congratulations to them too for running a wonderful campaign amid so many restrictions. They demonstrated that the opposition is the Zambian people and not a single individual. I wish them all the best at this point. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for the opportunity you give us to address the nation, to talk important issues with our countrymates. It's a rare opportunity, and we don't take this for granted. Thank you for the wonderful work you've done. You've put in so many hours at a great expense of your health. You sacrificed for your country, and we are grateful. I always look at you and say you have a work rate of a teenager, and you know I admire.
Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you very much. P.S. Chanda Kazia, thank you too for making time. This, you know, the diaspora is a busy place. It's not child's play, but you know, just sparing that time for your country, to share your views is something awesome.
You know, you guys, we can't afford you. These hours you are putting in, we can't afford you. It's a great sacrifice, and you know, thank you. You helped lift the burden in the last mile. I was truly worn out, and you know, you came in very handy, and we carried the burden together. So I'm eternally grateful. And Dr. Sampa is back in a few days. He's writing, he's practicing exams here. He's with us. I've been speaking to him. He'll be with us in the next few days.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope we are still on, because this platform is a platform that I think gives the reality of how professional you guided the conversation, how divergent, even those that you don't agree with, and how given opportunity to people to sell out here. You are really a gentleman, as people.
Simbia gentleman. Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, Ambassador.
Thank you.